Teacher in the school giving a lesson one afternoon. Little Tommy Tompkins was the dunce and was a fool in the way.
Something called venlafaxine, which is, I guess, the generic version of Effexor, and it knocked me for a loop. I took one little pill yesterday after getting a new prescription, and I was wobbly like Crazy Cabby and Stuttering John, or however you want, Dooku Kim and Boom Boom Mancini. I thought it was food poisoning, but it's just shook it off about 2 hours ago, and I'm still not sure I shook it off. And
May I ask you why you started talking before the intro was over?
I just think it's funny if you just in the middle of the conversation.
I thought I had a stroke. I was like, okay,
Yeah,
I'll just pretend I heard the beginning of the sentence.
I used to do that when I would call, back when we used the telephone. Someone would just pick the phone up, and I would act like I'm in the middle of a conversation.
Right. So I says to Mabel, I says.
But that's a true story. I have. Hi, Jamie. Hi, Kathy Scott. Thank you for your, I think,
Cash App.
Yes. Kathy and I were going back and forth about something with Lori Depp the other day. I forget what it was.
And thank you, Ida. Thank you so much for your generosity.
Ida Greenbacks. Do you know Ida is in the police academy?
Oh yeah, Mo mentioned that.
It's like kind of like just a woman who wants to make a difference, and she is a retired school teacher from Chicago, and she decided she's going to make a difference, and she is in the police academy. I guess they just are recruiting. I think it's all shapes and sizes. I think where the cops go wrong is they don't have enough demographics represented.
Yeah.
And I don't know. She seems to be on the 18th hole of the academy. Congratulations, Ida. They're lucky to have you. Not the other way around.
What does that mean, though, when you say, well, I guess it's all shapes and sizes? What is
meaning a woman in Ida's demographic, a young black woman, an old Asian, a young Asian, Hispanics, because you have to deal with the public, and there's so often you don't trust anybody but your own. That's what I mean. That's why 21 Jump Street works so well, right, guys?
Yes,
right?
Exactly. I was going to say.
Blacks, Depps, 1/4 Turkeys, Deloises, Gricos. That's why Jump Street works so well.
Barney Martins everywhere you look.
And David, I want to thank you for the Jump Street sit and you and Judy.
Yeah,
community.
that was fun.
The world's record, and I don't think it's ever going to be broken. 6-hour 21 Jump Street podcast watch along for a single episode, not 2 parts. Yeah. 1 episode that we didn't even think we were gonna. Sara hated it so much she bailed on it.
That goes to you, John. I mean, you did the full thing. We just Judy and I just pinch hit at the end. So
that's not true. I don't think I could play off. I don't think I can extend it like that with that. You guys had so many tremendous observations that I had not thought of in the 50 times I've seen that episode or so, that it kind of took me in different directions. What was one of the great things you said about you said, oh God, what was something about why don't you just how could Hanson not have told you say it.
Yeah, he's recounting the story of how his father got killed, and meanwhile I'm thinking, like, wouldn't they know this story by this point? They work day in and day out together, and over time you get to know even just the basics about your coworkers' family and parents, and who's alive and who's local and who's not, and that's also momentous story in shaping someone. So you think you would know it if you're close by that point.
It was the very origin of the show. He comes in, his dad died, he announces it with Barney Martin, and Mr. Hanson would have been regaled as a hero in the precinct, because the precinct's fairly local. So the stuff would have been the stuff legends were made of. It would have been, he would have had, plaques in the precinct that the Academy would have recognized. There's no way in hell they wouldn't have all been aware of it. He would never have had to tell us. You're absolutely right.
And then the reaction was sort of underwhelming. Like, it just cuts right to a scene of like, well, you're bailing on this date with your girlfriend because you're just mad about the fact that your father was shot.
Yeah, right. Who and why wouldn't Amy know about that? And by the way, the next episode is 3.3 seconds, which is her farewell, as a matter of fact.
Right. Oh, that's the very next episode?
Very next episode.
So, wow.
It's the Saras of the world could not take him having a girlfriend. And so they kill them off. And then in season 3, Jackie Garrett, she kind of backstabs him with the mayor and sells Fuller out. And so Hanson dumps her because she sold Fuller out to the
So the Tiger Beat girls were jealous that he had a father and a girlfriend, so they both needed to be eliminated. That's insane.
Imagine they're jealous of the father. We got so much email. We got so much.
I want to be his father.
Ida, we hope to have you back as soon as she's always. I know there was something I had noticed for about a month. There was no Ida, and you can't expect everyone to make every goddamn stream you have, especially when they're 4 and 5 hours, and then there's gunk on weeknights, Monday to Wednesday. So
yeah,
I hope. I wonder what. I can't wait to hear the details of her schedule and how. Could you imagine Tom Hansen riding with Ida? He's still on the force. Ida's isn't there a show on ABC with what's his name from Canada? He plays Green Lantern animated, and it's a 40-year-old rookie cop.
Oh, I'm not aware of this show.
And it's like what you go through. I kind of like the premise. Yeah. But how great would it be if Hansen is still on the force and he's riding with Ida on her first week?
The 12-year-old girls go insane. It's like, I have to wait till I'm an older woman to.
Flamered, welcome, Joni. Hi there. Staying up late on Friday night is worth the wait. It's it's 2 a.m. where she is in Ireland. Next time Joni's on, we got to play her. We got to play her Beachy Cold Cleese music.
I'll do my covers of it.
Don't ransack my heart.
Depp tax sheltered my heart.
Don't tax shelter my heart. Beachy Cold Cleese, for anyone who doesn't know, is the sober coach who is up Depp's ass like a colonoscopy, following him around everywhere. He's on the set of Budapest of Modi right now. I see him lurking. It is so bizarre that I'm not done fixating on that. And he has crazy. Speaking of psychology and psychiatry and therapy, he basically was the Harvey Weinstein of Irish psychologist. He would just bring in and prey on his patients and having just like these like erotic massage sessions in his practice, and got kicked out of his the whatever the Ireland Board of Psychiatry is. Booted from it, proven guilty, and Depp's hanging out. I actually don't believe that Depp even knows about these allegations, that this entire thing. He was shielded from it.
Yeah, I didn't know he was still in Depp's circle. That's crazy. I thought those articles came out and I guess I don't know when those articles accusing him came out.
Elton John hooked him up with him.
Right.
So he can't shun him because it would alienate Elton John.
Right. Put the onus on
I can't
him.
believe there's nobody in his circles that goes, look, you got this Amber Heard stuff. You can't be having Beachy Cold Cleese up your ass. This is proven out. You are who you hang with. You get him. Right. He's walking into court every day with you. That's not a good look. No one said that to him.
That is really like. Do you remember when we watched the footage just every day of him walking into the courthouse, and if I was Amber's team, I'd be like, Johnny Depp is being cheered by hundreds of people walking into a courthouse with a sex offender. Like,
yeah, that's how bad that's how inept her legal team was. I say
Right.
this all the time. Like, I think Camille and Chu and they did a great job, but what were we saying, David? It was like it'd be like playing the Washington. It'd be like the '86 Celtics playing the Washington Generals, and
yeah,
your whole career is made off that from the rest of your life. You literally took on the worst, most abhorrent legal team. Rottenborn's name is Rottenborn, and if you invert it, it's born rotten. You know how, like, in show business, people change their names because of the optics? Like,
right.
a lot of Jews don't want to be Jews and they de-Jew themselves. And, if you think your name isn't snappy or cool, people change the name, they anglicize it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a huge thing in show business. Like, Michael Keaton changed his name because Michael Douglas is his real name. So he can't go into the same as Michael Douglas is an A-list star. So he changed it to Keaton. If you were a lawyer, would you go into a courtroom with the name Rottenborn? Just on the look of it, you just don't trust the guy. And he looks like an Ivy League smarmy son of a bitch you don't trust anyway.
That he didn't become like a cynical stand-up comedian is like that's the only profession I think he could have gone into with that last name. Like,
I remember seeing the names of these guys for the first time going, is this real? That's his name? It seemed like a Tim Burton script, like it's a magistrate in Sleepy Hollow. Rottenborn? Really? If you invert it, it's born rotten. That's the way you see when you look at it. Somebody who doesn't care, like the optics of that's part of the package, believing the person.
He's a perfect foe, though. That I don't want to call it a performance when Depp was during the cross-examination, but it kind of was in a good way. Yeah. I think he realized he had the perfect foe to play off of. And, gain favor with maybe those watching who otherwise thought he was guilty. But, some of those sarcastic quips he got in could only be bounced off of Rottenborn.
True.
Kathy's going to join us for 3.3 seconds. I told her she wants to see Sara. Sara, give me Amy Pearson.
I'm so tired these days. Tom. That's all you're getting. That's all you're getting.
Amy. No! Trust me, that's a perfect Amy Pearson, what Sara just did. After she drops the soda, right? I think she has cream soda.
Chips, soda, everything.
And she's instead of the little, the little basket, not enough convenience stores and Walmart is not. Walmart wants you to have a shopping cart so you buy more shit. They don't give you the hand carts.
My question, if you get shot in a convenience store carrying your stuff up to the register, do they put that back on the shelf? Or do you have the person that accompanied you who lives, do they have to pay for that?
It's a great question.
That's a great question.
I am a victim of brain fry, so you're going to have to just bear with me tonight.
We'll go to Chez Louis. No, Tom, I'll have burnt hot dogs and sauerkraut. That's fine. It's cool. She's like the perfect girlfriend. I guarantee when we watch this now, we're going to be like very, very pro Amy. Like, I think that we're going to see a different side of, because you just everything he did, the eye rolls in that car ride home. She's a social worker. I mean, she is perfect. She looks like Miss Elizabeth. I mean, and at that time, you couldn't, every teenage dream is Miss Elizabeth, right? I mean, we didn't even know it at the time. A. Smith, welcome. Arm cooks awesome pizzas. I do make my own dough. Thank you, A. Smith. I had a pizza comment. I forget what it was. I was looking at. Okay, yeah. This is what I was looking at. Brooklyn, where I used to live in Brooklyn. This place called Luigi's. They were on Instagram. Their menu. They're charging $22 for a plain pie now.
Oh my god.
Where you are, David, how much is a regular pie in whatever?
So the last time I ordered pizza, I mean, and I because we don't have any good like local, family owned Italian restaurants. So if I'm getting from Domino's or something, I think it's somewhere between $20 and $30, and there's delivery fees on top of that. And if I get like 2 pies, it can amount to like $50 or something. It's crazy. Yeah.
Imagine a Deppening barbecue where I make
Oh,
ethnic Guinea food and Kathy Scott makes like Tennessee, Louisiana barbecue.
I'll make macaroni and cheese, but that might be Kathy Scott's genre.
Something
Southern
tells me Kathy
macaroni
makes a
and
mean
cheese.
macaroni and cheese.
Yeah, I probably bow to hers.
And who does she
I've
root for if the Titans play the Saints in the Super Bowl?
I know you have to ask her.
Because it's not going to happen because the Browns are going to make the Super Bowl. I'm here with 2 Cleveland Browns fans. Could you imagine that? Isn't that
Deshaun Watson
crazy?
practiced today. Yay.
I know you people tend to not like sports, David, but
Yep.
you've been to a handful of Browns games, which
Yeah.
Sara has not.
Against my will, but yeah, no, I had fun with them. No, there were a lot of fun. Those are some of my best memories, just because I mean I was a kid, so it's just me and my sister and my cousins, just like so excited that we get to eat like corn dogs and popcorn on the same day. You know,
It's all about the food and all about the everything else except what's going on between the lines for David. I've been telling Sara, this Deshaun Watson is a virtuoso quarterback from the Houston Texans who has his own Weinstein allegations against him, who's somewhat overcome it, and it's the weirdest thing, and it sort of hangs over him. We talked about it on here. He needs to just be great and get those things out of his life. But is the weather so bad in Cleveland that even we're in October, and that it destroys it? There's no offense on that field. And I'm telling Sara that he's not going to have that 4,000-yard season because it seems like the weather there shoots down anything that you could do explosively offensively. So you're going to look at him like he's not delivering, but really the weather is so miserable that you can't have a good quarterback on that team.
He just needs to manage the game successfully.
But he's not going to. They're not going to let him.
You have to let me talk. I'm just kidding. The defense is so good.
Yes.
He just has to, and normally we have Nick Chubb. He just and a great plethora of receivers. He just has to manage the game and not turn the ball over.
I wonder when they play on the road how this goes, because they might be used to that miserable. What did Stefanski say? Get in the mud. Let them get in the mud with us. I can't believe they beat the 49ers. And I play a football pool like everybody else in the world does. And if I had to pick one game to put my life savings on, that would have been the 49ers to beat them and cover a not so spectacular spread. I can't believe that is one of the craziest wins I've seen in an NFL. To not have Watson, to not have Chubb, to have a perfectly healthy that is one of the craziest regular season wins. And if you're the Browns, you're completely galvanized. You're like, we can beat anybody. There's no reason we can't make the Super Bowl with that win. But you beat San Francisco fully healthy with no Chubb or Watson. That's crazy to me.
Well, yeah, I don't want to talk football. People go crazy.
Well,
but they were missing Debo and who else? Kittle, right? Yeah. They were missing those two. So that's their big excuse. But anyway, who cares?
And well, McCaffrey, that's part of the problem. You get knocked out of the game. That's the team. That's what they're going for. They're trying to do that. That's not luck. That's skill. That's what that team is. They're comparing this Browns defense to like the 85 Bears and the 86 Giants and the 78 Steelers and that whole thing. It's crazy. I hope you guys do it. I'm a Steeler fan, and nothing would make me happier than a Browns or a Dolphins Super Bowl. Just some new blood in there, or the Bengals.
See, Autobots got the excuses. The 49ers were not healthy. They were a lot healthier than the Browns.
Probably were, yeah. When you're missing the best running back in the league, nothing beats that. Chubb completely controls their offense, especially on a bad day like that. Welcome, Jamie.
And one last thing about football, then I'll drop it, since I am very demanding on these football talks we do. They are going to be playing in Seattle against the Seahawks in 2 weeks. That's my opportunity to go if I really want to.
There you go.
Speaking of the Seattle and Autobot, I absolutely love Geno Smith's comeback with the Seahawks. To me, that's one of the craziest comebacks. It's almost like a Kurt Warner kind of thing.
And he's not doing that great this year.
When you play on the Jets, they are a blight on everything around them, and they destroy every quarterback's career. It's no coincidence he goes to the Seahawks. He has he was on my fantasy team last year. I couldn't believe some of the stuff he was pumping out. He's such a likable guy too. Scrambles. He's still. I don't even think. Is he 30 yet? He might.
You tell me. I haven't paid attention to him until last year.
So Autobot, yeah. So Autobot DM'd me, and I didn't see it, and I fell asleep. I had that medication flame out I was telling you about, and I was wobbly.
You were
and
half
I
telling
just
us
couldn't
about.
feel like my eyes are so bad as it is. So I'm going. I got to write him back. Yeah. So Autobot was asking us about last week. He's such a sweet guy from my favorite area of the country. We did a 6-hour 21 Jump Street, and that constitutes the last episode of the Deppening. It was so arduous, delightfully arduous to me that it took me 6 hours to edit it. David and Judy Tenuto joined me, so I had to do that Weintraub segment by myself, and it gave me the option to, I just thought of another thing. And so I come back the next day and I do another half hour and I added it onto it. I'm just psychotic. I have like OCD. Like I can't stop if I think of it, like with that show. I'm the right guy to do that show, but it's like, you have to know when to cut yourself off. And I'm very proud to have the Guinness Book of World Records of the 21 Jump Street, the longest show in the history of reviewing that show. It's never going to be beaten.
And you're probably going to be doing a few solos on the Patreon, but with guest appearances by our wonderful viewers for the next month or so, because I am so busy with moving and packing up a house 5 hours away. That's my every weekend until it's done.
What's more important?
I'll tell you right now.
The pathos of early 20-somethings, undercover officers in the late 80s, or a roof over your head? I question as to what your priorities are.
I'm moving my mother 100 miles, so I'll tell you what's more important. Certainly not a Valentine's Day episode of 21 Jump Street that I can't stand anyway.
Yeah, you hate that episode.
What's more important, family or the arm fund?
I know. My now widowed mother. Yeah, I'm going to guess.
God. Yeah, right. Yeah. Tough call.
Yeah.
When are you two broads coming out with the next Golden Girls?
I mean, Sarah's got stuff going on, so whenever I am available, whenever, and no rush.
How would
as
it
soon
work
as possible.
If
Probably like you do it. I don't care. Go ahead.
No, I'm not doing that.
David can lead it. I'll give him $1 from our profits.
I
still, Lauren Marie disagrees that she would be good on air. I think she would be great on air.
Everybody says that. You just,
yeah.
I think what I love about David and Sara as well, you're both such easy hangs.
Yeah.
Where if you listen to this, and I think Kathy Smith got that vibe, and certainly Flamer did too, and A Smith. Anyone who sat in and Judy, I don't think do I sound like someone you're going to be intimidated by talking to?
If you've got 6 hours to kill on a weekend, all you got to do is just hit the link. Arm will carry the show.
Well, I like to have someone.
Yes, yeah, it's great. Thanks.
Do you agree with me? Good. It's the one-person podcast is the douchiest, one-dimensional, boring thing when the person's talking to themselves, about themselves, in a way that, in a circular that there's no one to bounce off of. It really doesn't work for me. I really mean that. I really don't.
Yeah, I prefer conversations to monologues, but that's I don't know. It depends what the topic is too. But I think of the Crazy Days and Nights thing you covered and just how insufferable that was. But it's weird to gossip to yourself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like celebrity gossip under a down comforter, as I suspect he was recording from, is just a weird setup for an entertainment gossip show. That there's not a panel to kind of talk it out is weird to me.
That voice of his, I mean, it would be one thing if he had
peanut butter voice.
And, I should have just gone.
Well, you got more than that. You've also got the.
Right. The lip
peanut butter.
Right. Peanut butter voice, right. Welcome, Pellel. Welcome, Josh Foster. Oh, my Stramiel Swift over here.
Can I also say my favorite Sara impression is Gwyneth Paltrow in Seven that you did many episodes ago.
I hate the city. I didn't do a very good one.
How many times have you seen Seven?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh God, I own it on DVD. I own like the director's cut on DVD.
You're so bizarre. Like you were like a
Great
cinephile in the
movie.
'90s, and now you haven't seen a movie
I
since like
know.
YouTube
Movies haven't
started.
been good in
That's
30
not true.
years.
That's not true.
No, that's very
I mean,
true.
I'll give you a list of recommendations that you won't listen to. I'll give you TV shows too. You
You're
won't.
correct. I won't. Especially TV shows.
I could almost say this for every movie that comes out in the '90s. Guess who turned down 7?
Oh, Camille Vasquez.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ben Chu.
Depp was offered the Brad Pitt role
Oh my
with
gosh.
Morgan Freeman, and he turned it down.
That'd be
That was
great.
one
He
of
would
the
have been
many,
really
many
good.
things. I think so too.
I think his delivery of what's in the box would have been much more convincing.
He's a great cop. He's a great. Every time he plays a law enforcement, he kills it. He's a great cop, and you're
But
rooting for him. And if it's Fred Aberline or Tom Hansen or Joe Pistone or it's always good.
that was Brad Pitt's best look, though. Oh, what a 10.
Not Fight Club.
No, and you know what? I do like the buzz cut in a couple scenes in Fight Club, but I gotta go 7. Oh,
His
turned body out looks weird in Fight Club to me.
He's too built, in my opinion. I think now he's got more of a. It's not a dad bod, but it's softer in the stomach area. I think he would look much better now. Right. I'd like to look.
Debbie, did you ever watch City of Lies? Did I ever give that to you?
No, I was watching when you guys were trying to cover it before it went off, before YouTube struck it down. But I haven't seen the whole movie.
Have you ever seen like a really good comic book picture, or it doesn't? I mean, even the animated series, it looks just like him, of Commissioner Gordon. Not the movies, like the perfect version of Commissioner Gordon, like animated.
I don't think I have.
Depp as Russell Poole in City of Lies looks like a young Jim Gordon, like when Batman first hits the scene. I'm telling you, if anyone, Sarah, am I wrong? He had the tactical gear on and stuff. It looked like the Gotham PD.
I'll agree with you more than disagree.
Did you see City of Lies?
I've seen enough of it to know what you're talking about.
Hey, Crazy Robin. Hey, Crazy Robin. You hear that? That's my new medication, and I had a really bad experience on my first dosage of it. And they warned me it's supposedly it's not a time release; it's an instant release, and I just wasn't ready. I was okay. So it's
and by the way, since we're on the Crazy Robin topic, I saw your message in chat. Yeah, please send an email, thedeppening@gmail.com, and we will get a 90210 scheduled.
Right, so she's gonna. That's the dance episode. That's the next one. I can't wait.
And I'm just waiting on the email, so I know where to send the link.
So this is an effexor thing called. This is the. I guess this is the actual generic name. Venlafaxine. It sounds like a Marvel Comics, like super metal or something.
Yeah.
My shield is composed of 1/3 vibranium, 1/3 adamantium, and 1/3 venlafaxine.
Wouldn't that be funny if Big Pharma was just getting their names from old, obscure comic book animated series?
It's what it looks like. Where did they get this shit from? Seriously, Lexapro? Where'd you get that from? You don't think that's Lex Luthor?
Right.
Fan Lexapro? That sounds like Luthor Industries, like their new prototype suit or something.
Right.
LexCorp.
Yeah.
Where it has to come from somewhere. You know what I mean? It's not going to all be scientific. I guarantee they do. So that's what it on. City of Lies says, Joni, City of Lies, I liked it. I saw it recently in the context of reopening the Tupac case. The more you know about the Biggie Tupac thing, the more you'll appreciate this movie and what they were going for. It's really clever to incorporate, and it kind of vacillates back from modern day to the 90s, and it captures the 90s really well. And Depp in the true crime biopic mode is the best Depp, without question. It's not even close.
Yeah.
The 6 or so films he's done in that genre are his best films. He kills it, and every time he plays a cop. Autobot says, Arm, did you see the trailer? Yeah, Sarah, tried to ask you about this, and you wouldn't listen to me. Zac Efron is in this Iron Claw, and I didn't realize it was because I watched it with the sound off. It's about the Von Erich family.
Okay.
Kerry Von Erich, Kevin Von Erich, Mike Von Erich, David Von Erich. Fritz was the dad, and they were out of Texas, the old Texas Federation, and I believe Zac Efron plays Kerry Autobot. Would I be right about that? I didn't see.
He plays I'm looking it up now. He plays Kevin Von Erich.
Oh, okay. Kevin is the youngest son.
Yeah.
No, wait, third. Mike is Mike's the oldest. Mike, Kerry, David's the youngest. Kevin's the second youngest. Kevin, okay. I don't wonder why he plays Kevin. Why is Kevin the I thought Kerry was most popular.
Jeremy Allen White plays Kerry.
Okay.
I don't even know who.
Does anyone play David or Fritz? You see them in the
let's see. Lance is played by Maxwell Jacob Friedman. David is played by Harris Dickinson. Holt McElhaney plays Fritz Von Erich. I don't
talk about
know
a no-name cast, right? It's just Zac Efron and no one else.
Yeah, Lily James is in it.
Okay.
So
Pellel says the positive wording Lexapro, Effexor, I've taken them both, by the way. So Pellel signs off on that too.
Oh, I see. Right. Yeah.
What the hell was I going to say here? I wanted to. Okay, let's start with our stories. I am going to go into Okay, let's start with this because it's kind of everybody's talking about this, and this is the drama from Aquaman 2. Tell me if you see this. God, I'm still wobbly from that pill. I can feel my brain's bubbling. I can't focus.
Oh God.
Okay. So this is from Variety, and this is the stuff where we've heard that Jason Momoa has stormed the set of Aquaman 2 dressed as Depp and drunken, and this came from the unsealed document, Sarah, right from Amber's paid psychiatrist.
I think so. Yes, one of her whatever psychologists.
One of the script notes. Dawn Hughes.
Mm-hmm.
These waters are getting choppy. On the same day in mid-September. This story's been out for like 2 weeks. I got to tell you up front, I am so tired. I think you both agree with me, especially Sarah, who loves both Momoa and Depp equally. The gossip and clickbait bullshit, bold print bullshit by the grifters and con men around YouTube with the fake Jason Momoa quotes and stories in the last 4 years is so effing irritating. He has not said shit. He's never quoted. He's never spoken. There's no actual interviews with him. And they just cash in on this fake Momoa gossip over and over again. This has been going on ad nauseum for 4 years. And he hasn't said a word. And they're just quoting him. He could sue like 1,000 different for defamation. He could. Momoa could. I can't believe how much they get away with him.
Are they YouTube videos where it's like an AI voice reading fake quotes, or is it like someone actually hosting a show?
Oh, that's one. Yeah, that's one version of it. But someone will host a show and then act like it's gospel. What he said with big bold print, that umbrella guy huckster and his fucking bull. God damn it! I want to slap him around. He goes, oh, Jason Momoa hates AH. And then that's in bold print. And he hasn't actually said a word. And they just run with these in big bold print and idiot headlines and stuff. So this could be true. This could be true, but this is from Amber Heard's notes to Dawn Hughes. So
not true. Like most of everything.
Right, so not true. So So which is it? Is it not true or... These waters are getting choppy. On the same day in mid-September, Warner Brothers dropped the trailer for its $250 million Aquaman and the Lost. That's the budget for that, $215 million. Embarrassing documents from the Johnny Depp Amber Heard defamation trial surfaced on Reddit, creating a new headache for the studio behind the films. Depp fans paid the court fees for the release of the documents from Heard's therapist, Dawn Hughes. The raw notes scribbled on a legal pad were part of last year's high-profile trial in which Depp largely prevailed. They describe a hostile Aquaman set where an allegedly intoxicated Jason Momoa dressed like Depp pushed to have Heard booted from the role of aquatic superhero Mira. Now, I should say, and I've said this on the show a lot, Momoa dresses like Depp anyway.
Yes, he does.
And
you know who he got that from? When he was married to Lisa Bonet, who dressed bohemian. That rubbed off on Jason Momoa.
Interesting. I was going to say, what does that mean to dress like Depp?
No, it's the trinkets, the necklaces,
it's the scarves and
the scarves, the wristbands,
the fedora, or the weird fedora.
Yes, all of it, sunglasses, all of it. And when you look at Momoa, you're like, gee, there have been juxtapositions of him and Depp side by side with like the various. They did it with John Mayer too, by the way, a few years ago. That trying to look like actively trying to. So this shit's not new. There's the word bohemian, Sarah, and I know you just oddly you said exactly that. Jason Momoa said Jason said he wanted me fired. The notes say Jason's
probably did because you suck.
Late on set, dressing like Johnny, has all the rings just like him. A rep from Momoa declined to comment, but a DC spokesperson pushed back on Heard's characterization, saying, Jason Momoa conducted himself in a professional manner at all times on the set of Aquaman and The Lost Kingdom. Others echoed that sentiment. Jason works his ass off, likes to have a beer once in a while like everyone else does, but doesn't show up drunk on set. Says an insider who was on the London set in 2021, adding that the two stars got along and were seen joking together, which I have seen. Video and pictures of, and he isn't dressing like Johnny Depp. He's always dressed in that bohemian style.
It would be funny if he came in like dressed as quote Johnny Depp, like strumming a guitar like a 3-year-old. Like he can't even play the guitar. Like,
see if you could find pictures of when he was on Baywatch, and tell me if he dressed like Depp then. Heard declined comment, but a source close to the actress confirmed that the notes refer to the Aquaman 2 set and reflect a session from December 27th. 2021, which is almost exactly 3 years after the original movie came out. Another source close to the actress says her lawyers fought the release of therapy notes, which had been subpoenaed by Depp's attorneys during discovery. Momoa wasn't the only Aquaman principal to land in the crosshairs. The therapy session also painted a picture of her feeling unsupported by the film's director, James Wan, and treated like a pariah because of her high-profile legal battle with her ex-husband. He raised his voice at me. I can't even post about Aquaman. He made it like it was my fault. I said, I'm sorry, said Hughes, notes in the reference to Wan. Nobody can take selfies with me on the set given the blackout. Wan declined to comment. The DC spokesperson said James is known for treating members of his cast and crew with the utmost respect, for fostering a positive collaborative environment on set like Asians tend to do. The Aquaman films were no exception. And yet, Heard was nearly fired. Sources on both sides tell Variety, following Aquaman's release in 2018, the studio and Wan decided to drop the actress from the sequel due to her lack of chemistry with Momoa, and sent a letter to the attorney, Carl Austin, informing him of its decision. Former DC boss Walter Hamada testified in the defamation trial about the issue of chemistry. Those sources underscore the move to bounce Heard was unrelated to Depp and took place before he filed suit against the actress in 2019. Likewise, Momoa was not involved in the decision-making, but another source pushed back on the lack of chemistry narrative, noting that Heard did a chemistry test with Momoa before landing the role of Mira and beat out 2 other actresses who did similar chemistry tests, including Abby Lee. Ultimately, the studio never pulled the trigger on firing Heard because her former boyfriend, Elon Musk, had one of its litigators send a scorched earth letter to Warner Brothers threatening to burn the house down if the actress wasn't brought back for a sequel. Says a source familiar with the behind-the-scenes battle. Warner Brothers caved and moved forward with Heard. Musk did not respond to a request for comment because he's the worst fucking accent on the face of the earth. The drama is being rehashed at a time when DC Entertainment toppers James Gunn and Peter Safran are poised close the book on the previous regime's superhero slate with the 2020 release of Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. Warner Brothers chiefs Pam Abdi and Mike DeLuca joined the studio in 2022 of June, followed by Gunn and Safran's entrance 4 months later. The four have been saddled with DC duds since they inherited, including this year's Flash, and only $271 million worldwide, and Blue Beetle, $128 million worldwide. Still, the Aquaman sequel held promise, considering the character's first outing earned $1.15 billion worldwide, becoming the highest grossing DC Comics property movie ever. The sources say the sequel has endured challenges outside the Heard saga and was testing in the 60s before the recut in the summer of 2022. Despite the overhaul, the film continued to test in the 60s, prompting a new cut. The movie is like the echo of Regime, said one insider. It's like the last remnant of the Snyderverse, and no one really wants to take ownership of it. Reshoots take place up until about the WGA strike in May, and the onset source disputes the idea that Aquaman 2 is troubled, noting that the film was on time, under budget, and needed only a week of reshoots. Like Flash, Aquaman can't shake its lame duck trappings, with DC's universe getting overhauled and under new leadership, marketing Warner Brothers Discovery CEO David Zaslav's top priority. Let me see if I can. The only thing that remains is John Cena as the Peacemaker, and there's one, and Viola Davis, who played Amanda Waller in Suicide Squad. I'm just going through this anything, and so this is what. So one of the notions of this is not only just that, but the fact that in the Aquaman mythos, a major story is his arch enemy Black Manta killing his son Arthur Jr.
Mm-hmm.
And they think that is what was shown in one of the screenings, and people like, we can't go from this fun, swashbuckling, super comic booky, and that's part of it, to this tone where you're killing a baby in the second one. So they claim people walked out on it. Let's just, before I play the Kevin Smith's thoughts on that, what do you think, Sarah? I mean, we've heard rumors. Lest anyone forget, it was Johnny Depp himself that got Amber Heard the role in this film. He made calls to his Warner Brothers brethren and said, look, this role, anybody can do it. Cast my wife. And, and I'll, they all right. And he's in a position of power where he could get that done. And so, as it turned out, they grudgingly admitted that he got her the role on that film, and they're just regretting it. So there's so many layers to this.
No, Miss Vasquez, I got myself that role. I auditioned, not
right.
Johnny.
Right.
Correct.
Right. Give me some more corrects. Right.
Correct. If you take the chat down because you're covering the Cash App, I will.
Okay.
I'll wait until you do that.
Okay.
Correct.
Right.
Okay.
Right, Mr. Right.
Correct. Correct.
Right, Mr.
I keep forgetting the buzzword that was in the oh God.
Monster.
No, it was categorically. That's what it is.
Categorically, right. This, when you say categorically in front of something, or demonstratively, or there's like 6 of those. You can't just be. You remember Kevin Pollak in A Few Good Men? Said, something I strenuously object.
Yeah,
you can't just object because you said strenuously. Okay. Like,
right.
If you just said object, I wouldn't. I fixated on that all through the trial. Anytime those words came up, I was obsessed with it.
How did you handle
object.
Patently? Patently is another one. Right.
How did you handle what if any? It is the cure-all.
Yes.
I have no idea what I'm talking about. I listened to that redirect today. Sorry.
I love when As Karate says that to her, what if any is not a cure-all, and she's fighting with her. It's the funniest thing.
And then 10 minutes later, what if any? And it is the cure-all.
Yep.
Okay, calm down.
Way to make friends with the judge.
I know. Way to go.
Speaking of Alec Baldwin, was it Sue Monster or someone wanted me to sing Happy Birthday in his voice? I won't do it until I know she's there. It's a waste unless she's in the actual.
I don't remember that.
It was in one of the Radio Gunk chats, on Wednesday. It was one of those Hail Mary passes at the end. You may not see it. I'm like, what?
Mo's doing closing arguments, and I'm trying to get my last smart ass comment into the chat.
I'm gonna see it. Okay, so yeah, that Iron Claw. I'm looking forward to that one. There's not enough pro wrestling. Too many boxing movies and not enough pro wrestling movies, right, Sarah?
Sure. Weird noise was happening in my apartment. I'm trying to figure it out.
So that set of Aquaman. So the first Aquaman, I've said this 100 times on here. if I were doing, I think they were tracking that movie. They knew it was going to be $1 billion hit. They knew when they were making it. There was something about the timing of it and that name and how they were framed it and Momoa's popularity. There was something about it that they knew. I would have shot 2 Aquamans at once, like Matrix did, like Pirates did, and I would have rearranged the schedule DC. And they waited 5 years to come out with the sequel.
Yeah.
You know how much shit can go wrong? Wouldn't you think that would happen?
Yeah, we found out.
Yeah, right. So I said, why don't you shoot 2 movies at the same time while everybody's there? Come out with the second one before any of this Fairfax crap goes down, and you don't have to deal with any backlash from it. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Every horrible show business tropey disaster occurred in between the time of the first and second one.
Thank you, A. Smith. Force hydrate and it'll flush your system out. I tried. I thought I tried, and I showered. And he's right. I mean, I probably didn't drink enough water. I just wasn't into it. Just kicked my ass. Thank you, A. Smith. So it's just, and so I got Momoa and that Depp garb, and I've commented on this all the time. And so she's coming at them with, they're trolling me on the set. She's probably reaching for every little thing she could do. And now she starts to grab at stuff like, they wanted me. You already got paid for the movie.
Yeah.
What were they going to do? It's not like her salary was negated. If they're not going to, what would it be if she got 5 more minutes screen time? What would that mean to her? What does that mean to anything? What does it mean to the success of the film? It's Depp who got her the role anyway. You know how, forget about any kind of like, I'm just talking about, we talk about how writers are replaceable in Hollywood, David. Mm-hmm. She's got to be, that role of Mira has to be the most expendable lead actress role I've seen in a film, and I don't know how long.
Yeah,
there are 10,000 actresses that could do that as well or better.
Yeah,
no,
as I said last week, like Hayden Panettiere could do it.
Anybody
could do it,
and they know that. And when they're going through it, and they got a runaway hit with so much so that they probably want to separate it from the rest of the debacle that is the DC cinematic universe as a whole. So they're like, we got our own billion. Let's just try to step away from them and do it. And that Amber Tross is around this film throughout. At the same time, you hear the adage of like, no, any promotion is good promotion, good or bad.
Yeah.
Well, wouldn't Fairfax just be a 6-week, 8-hour commercial for Aquaman a day, as I've said throughout the whole thing, right? And everybody watching that trial would be like going, you know what? I gotta know where is she in the movie and how much is she in it? Did they cut her out? And if I'm the puppet masters at Warner Brothers in DC, I'm not saying shit.
Well, what I would do is I would put her at the very end so that people had to sit through the whole movie and couldn't leave when she came up on screen.
I want her just at the end of the credits.
Yes.
And where she just turns to the camera and winks.
That would be so funny. And she's brilliant. In on it. That's so funny, Sarah. They reshoot it, and they just, how everyone's talking about I hope you've all seen comic book movies are notorious for it, where they run the ending credits, and you really have to sit around to the very, very end.
Yeah, because they'll do like a tag, screen. Right?
Yeah.
And they don't all do it, but they have you now waiting for that. And I've always waited, and that would be the funniest thing in the world if she just sat there at the end in the mirror costume and just winked.
In terms of advertisement during the trial, and they think they're above this. First of all, the executives at Warner Brothers, right?
Right.
Yeah, yep. But you had the most iconic moment of the trial. What was it? One of them, where he screams, "Aquaman!"
Yeah,
that's all the advertisement you need.
To me, it is.
That would be so funny if, like, on the trailers for the movie, they just cut that audio and put it over the title.
Or the voiceover guy in the trailer goes, "Aquaman."
Yeah, exactly.
They say that Momoa dressed like Jack Sparrow during the film. Like Pellel says this. Yeah, that was it. Do we have a picture of that? I mean, his everyday garb is like that anyway. And even if he did, who gives a shit?
Yeah.
And even if he did, so what?
Well, that's her whole PTSD thing crap, where she's saying, the word Adam, what's his last name? Oh my God.
Levine?
Adam Waldman. I want to say Goldstein. Sorry.
That's all right.
They're all what I'm thinking about.
Sarah.
I know. I was like, Adam.
In Oregon, they're all the same.
Yeah, whatever. But yeah, his online campaign, the smear campaign, turned even my co-stars against me. So I deserve $100 million. Okay.
They were mean to me. I want money.
They literally did a thing where they tabulated that she somehow is in the $20 million strata, and the next 5 movies she's going to do equals $100 million. That's how they tabulated
London
that.
Fields 2 is going to overtake pop culture.
But it's her taking credit for Aquaman 1 almost in full. Like, she's the reason it did the money it did.
I think she's
taking full credit for it.
If she gets that money, it should come from the marketing department and not from the studio's money for the actors, just for the trial alone.
And I'm sure this burns Team Depp and everybody, and I'm a huge Aquaman fan, so this trial was really all about me. I think when you really boil down to all of the factors, and I'm the monofilament that runs through it all. Yeah. No one else. It's about me. The trial. Did
you think when Depp took the stand that he was talking to you? He was telling you the story of his life?
No, I think it's understood that I know it. I've known it for 35 years.
Well, of course, but do you feel like, did you get be honest, because I did. When he sat up there and started talking, did you get emotional? Like you were finally hearing him tell the true story of his life?
Yeah, I knew most of it, so he was kind of histrionic for the with the, as David coined, Hunter-esque walk-in pauses for the humanoids, and it was the dramatic pauses. I thought I definitely skipped a beat when he first walked up to the stand, because the build up to this that I had lived every minute of since 2016. Like, is this really happening now? I couldn't. You and I
knew to expect his cadence.
Not like that. It was actually 3 times slower than I thought.
Yeah, but I don't blame him for that at all. Think it out before you say it. In this case, you're on display for the world. You're a sideshow right now.
Yeah.
So you've got to think, because every syllable everything you say wrong is going to make headlines. So you've got to think this out, because the whole purpose of the trial and having cameras in the courtroom was for the world, was for middle America especially, to not associate him anymore with them as being a domestic violencer.
God, I'm still wobbly. God damn it.
What?
I said I'm still wobbly. I'm sorry.
Oh, well, let's get through this. It doesn't have to be a 4-hour show.
Yes, it does. Go ahead.
No, it doesn't. Swear to God.
Joni says the man bun only works on Momoa. I agree with that. It's very hard to pull that off. I don't buy it on anyone.
Khal Drogo. Oh God. Game of Thrones.
Very difficult to pull that off. I hate it on Depp. She might be right about that. But it fails, and I said this all throughout Fairfax, and here we are still talking about it. Like, it's never going to go away. My warning, the first day we did this, and the magnitude of all the different people that got into this are now watching it, and I'm going, oh, I can't. This person's talking about it now. This person's talking about it now. It is never going to be eradicated. You're never going to shed this from them. And that Amber Heard on the set of Aquaman 2 and anything Depp does, you don't think on the set of Modi right now that he's directing, you don't think everybody's looking at him thinking about Amber Heard? Are you kidding?
Oh, of course.
Are you deluding yourselves thinking that they're not all thinking about that trial? Everybody on that set, they're not going to talk about it. And there's probably a gag order on everyone read the Riot Act. Don't bring it up to him. Don't bring it up to him. But everyone's thinking it. It's never going to go away. That's why it never should have been litigated. No matter how much fun we're having with this trial and we're talking about it and all the stupid TikTok clips from it, it's never going to go. He's never going to be able to resume the same career again without the stank of this effing trial all over him. As Doug Stanhope said, You never should have did it in the first place.
I bet you there's more footage of him in that Fairfax courtroom than there is in the Jump Street Chapel.
Oh, easily. 8 hours a day, David, 6 weeks straight.
Yeah.
Easily.
It's the movie set he spent the most time on.
You could say, I can almost do the math here. Like every film he's ever made, there's more footage of Fairfax than any film he's ever made.
Oh, of course, yeah. I use Jump Street because that was a TV show where he was in the same set from episode to episode.
Just screen time.
Yeah, screen time alone. Yeah, exactly.
So here's Kevin Smith, and for all hey, why Kevin Smith? Well, who gives a shit about stupid Jay and Silent Bob? He is very well. I'd say he's friends with Depp, and he's quite. Lily Rose and Harley Quinn Smith are best friends, and they did Yoga Hosers together, and they have a relationship that goes back. Vanessa Paradis is in Yoga Hosers. Jack Depp is in Yoga Hosers. So but we don't get any insider stuff out of Kevin Smith here. He gives a very namby-pamby, and he's talking because he's a comic book guy. He's talking about this and on his podcast, and here he is now.
Somebody needs to see Joe. Papa man with the house. We need to snap your song, right?
Seeing David Hurd's muffin top bulge out of his jeans is like such a jump scare. God.
Dog fighter and wife abuser.
Yes, right.
So make fun of him all you want.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
This is Kevin Smith's take on what we just talked about, the Aquaman saga.
What else we got?
Yo, shit's crazy on Aquaman 2.
Oh my lord.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
My heart goes out to every.
Everyone hear what Sara just said? Kevin Smith is another one who looks better fat.
He does.
It's amazing. You know
happy you're healthy now, but oof.
You know what it is? When you have a life of inactivity and you never were an athlete or you never were active, when you lose weight and it just doesn't work. You look deflated and it never sits well. It's like too late. Don't bother. You're not supposed to be thin. Just don't bother.
Fucking fellow DC fan, man. It's just like can't win. Can't get a bite, man. Flash, Shazam, Blue Beetle, and now are we getting Aquaman by the end of this year or no?
We're supposedly getting it. I think that Warner Brothers seems bullish on the strike coming to an end, so being able to have Momoa out there flagging it. But yeah, like Variety has.
I like what Johnny Bye says here. I never thought of this. And this is the way lawyers work. No offense to my favorite lawyer, John O'Reilly, but there are people who are immoral. I never thought of this. It's a great thought, Johnny. Johnny Depp got duped by Adam Waldman and company. Depp's lawyers made money off that trial than more. So what do you think about this? That they got him in and they convinced him to litigate this to just such an extreme that they knew not just the money they made off the trial, but what they'll make after it, right? Camille Vasquez promoted to partner and just regaled at taking on this neophyte, bumbling, almost like at a central casting crap legal team that they went in, the Washington Generals of legal team. And Washington's perfect because that's where it was, right? Roanoke,
right.
Out of what do you think about that, Sara? That Adam Waldman's hocus pocus mind F. We got to take this on. We're crusaders, and who benefits the most, right? How much money Waldman, Chu, and company and Brown Rudnick made off Depp?
Well,
and
yeah, but
continue to make.
If I'm being defamed, I'm going and I have the money to fight it. I'm going to fight it until her house is burned down and her baby's toys have been hauled out of the nursery.
But when you're deemed of having lost $650 million, do you do that?
If I still have enough money to fight it, absolutely.
What is to be gained from this in the end? Are you better in the end? Are we better off not having done this at all?
No.
Why not?
You have okay, throw away the whole was he canceled or not. I know you have your opinions on that.
Yes.
Let's say he's a regular guy with some money. Any human being that is falsely accused for whether it be financial gain, clout, whatever, and they have the ability to fight, I thoroughly encourage them to fight. I would stand behind that person in their battle as long as it took. And I would have gone even further than he did. So absolutely. And I will applaud him till the day to the end of my days for the fight he took on, the embarrassment he took on with all this crap coming out about him. Do it.
Well, you're a prime example. One, you never believed it anyway, right? So who are we convincing? Are we convincing the uninitiated? Are we preaching to the
As
choir?
I said before, you're convincing Middle America that
What
he
does
is
he
no
care about,
longer the face of domestic violence perpetrators, and that men can be victims too of domestic violence.
If we're running to England and France all the time, what do we care about Middle America?
No, I'm never going to be able to have a conversation.
Well, I mean, I'm wondering,
who
are we?
So I'm done.
David, I'm sorry, you said?
I was just going to say, I brought this up a couple episodes, like just beyond everything in the biggest picture possible, does he care about his legacy? And you both tended to agree that he does care about his legacy, even if he says he doesn't, and that it's worth it to go into the history books with this cleared up. And I don't know, maybe that has nothing to do with it, but that's one thought that I had that I brought up a couple weeks ago, is that he really cares about his legacy. And even if he's going to England and France, and that's not the same thing as being profiled as an abuser. You may be seen as like out of touch and rich and all that stuff, but he doesn't see that as anything that tarnishes his legacy.
But here's the stupid part about this, the way the jury works, right? You have all 7 people have to be in unison.
Mm-hmm.
So if one person decides they don't like him, that destroys the whole thing? If 2 people out of the 7. Now, it's not a majority, it's you have to unanimously have all 7. The whole system's stupid. Why would you if you believe what you believe, wouldn't you wouldn't have 7 strangers who are complete novices to the trial tell you what to think or how to, you've been looking at this. And like I say, with the people waiting and cheering him on and threatening her as he leaves Fairfax, that's victory enough. That's Middle America who's there.
Well, and maybe the uninitiated needed the weeks of television exposure to just see how, I mean, even if it worked out where one person voted that he was guilty or whatever the opposite of the verdict for Depp was, maybe Depp knew it was important to get as much footage out there of how sane he is and how crazy she is,
Yeah. I don't, like I said 100 times throughout the court of public opinion, by the time they were 2 days in, was on his side. You knew immediately it was on his side. There was you didn't have to go any further. You knew. So result meant anything.
Could he have pulled out after 2 days? Could he have just withdrawn the case? Or
there was you're allowed to do that.
Okay.
You're allowed to. There were rumors about that they were just going to settle as it was going on. It would come up all the time, and it just really went to the end. But there were rumors about settling all the time.
Well, and what would have happened if he would have if he lost or one person voted the other way? Maybe the public would have been like, "Are you kidding me?" Like, and there would have been TikToks showing footage of Amber lying and all this stuff. And
that would have got right. There was enough, right?
So either there was celebration or there was vitriol on his behalf. So going through with the trial was maybe good to get either. Maybe he expected either result, where it's like, if I win, great, then I don't have to do any work. But it's great to get the quote, to get Amber on camera attempting to seem reasonable or attempting to tell the truth. Maybe he knew that she was such a chronic liar that it would just come off. It would just be so obvious to anyone that she's lying.
Yeah.
And you have an audience for over 3 days of direct testimony and cross-examination, where you have an audience that's their only attention is on you. You have the opportunity to play all of the audio so they hear how she speaks.
Right.
You have him telling his side of the story basically uninterrupted during direct examination, him addressing the drug use on cross-examination, him, he had the audience. Why would you not do that? If
Right.
it costs you $10 million, he can afford it.
I mean, it almost is like a mediation where the mediator is America or the audience, where, and Depp is maybe in touch enough with the fans of his who are good-hearted or good humans that he knows they'll side with him if they hear this audio, if they hear how it went down. The verdict almost doesn't matter. It's almost just let's review everything that I've been through. And if it's televised, then it will sort of clear my karma in the pop culture zeitgeist,
That's what I said that the court of public opinion is all that matters in that situation. And I don't think you could have had all 7 people voting for her. He still would have won the court of public opinion. It still wouldn't have mattered. He still would have been nothing would have changed. Even like after the UK trial, there was still, things were just leaking out over and over. But I think what Johnny Bye-Bye says that the legal team had to know, like, for even way beyond what he's going to pay us, the reputation we're going to have from this is going to permeate the next 30 years in our law firm. You're always going to be going a Brown Rudnick for every single thing, especially when it's tough like that. But I could say, my big fear was that his bad years, if he continues to make horrible decisions, and I'm not picking the scripts, are going to outnumber his good years. The bad films are going to beat the good films. We're heading in that direction. The last 10 years have been so many megaturds, and we're now running the risk that the bad movies outnumber the good movies. That's the bottom line. And that's what you can't blame Amber Heard on. Mordecai and Transcendence and Lone Ranger and Alice 2 was a piece of shit. And all those in a row for how many years? All on his just horrible budgets, just $210 million budgets for Lone Ranger. That's not her fault. That's his fault. So she uses a scapegoat for his horrible decisions. And that's what annoys me the most.
Yeah, I mean, that's a separate issue from him wanting to clear his. I mean, the trial, even though it brought
it's not, though, because it's saying that it's giving him an out that Warner Brothers and Disney fired him just because of Amber Heard.
You think maybe he was just like open to accepting even mediocre trash to say, just get me out of this penthouse. I'll do whatever.
He has his own production company. He can do whatever he wants. There's no excuse for a bad movie. For 25, 30 years.
But he's not going to make $25 million from his own production company.
He's getting, why not? He's
going to get that from Disney.
His name's the executive producer. If he does it right, if he chooses the right script, he certainly could. That's been done before. If you have the right people on it, he certainly could. He'd reap all the profits.
Did he just write himself a check for $25 million?
That's what you do, and that's why why you start a production company.
Okay.
Why do you think he did it?
Then I'm going to go start a production company tomorrow, and I'm going to write myself a check for $75 million.
If it hits, that's what he would get. You remember Mel Gibson and the Jesus Christ movie?
Christ, yeah.
They do that for passion. They start their own production company for passion projects that barely break even, if any. They don't do that for a big payday.
Did he produce The Brave?
Mel Gibson was a freak.
Yeah.
And he knew if he made a Jesus movie, all the weirdos would go out and see it.
Yeah. He's making a sequel, apparently, which I don't know how you can do.
Was he resurrected in the first one?
I didn't see it, so
I refuse. So,
right. Did he produce The Brave?
Yeah, he directed it, and his production company. But I think he knew there was no way, and it was just an excuse to get Marlon Brando to do it. And I didn't think he had any notion of making a profit on that.
Do you think that the good movies he's done that you're a fan of, that you think are good movies that could sort of exceed their budget and make a profit, do you think even though he does he delivers good performances, does he, from just a bird's eye point of view, have the artistic taste to know what is a good script beyond his ability to be a good actor in it?
Well, that's I mean, you stumble onto a great point. That's where he's more out of touch than Hall and Oates with today's state of film.
Right.
There was a time when he had that sort of Ted Williams eye to watch a 99-mile-per-hour fastball slow down to where you could see the seams, and like I could see. He's lost touch with, in order to pick great movies and do great movies, you have to know what's been done and done badly. So if you're not following the industry and you're bragging about not following the industry, you don't know what's been done and what doesn't work and what's bad. You don't know what's failed. So how are you going to correct upon the mistakes of the past if you don't follow the industry?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like you have to know what doesn't work in order to do what works.
Yeah, I mean, I think I said that last time, where it's like, even if you're not a fan of the current style, there's a way to use some of the surface elements of the current style, even if you have to do so begrudgingly, just to keep the audience interested. And it tricks the audience into sitting through your movie, experiencing it, and getting your point of view that you feel like, this is really what I wanted to do. If it's just your point of view and your take on what style should be in a vacuum, it's just masturbatory, and people can tell that right away. I mean, it's
self-indulgent, right? I mean, movie reviewers do that all the time. They'll be like, "Oh, Johnny Depp's self-indulgent," bullshit. Self-indulgent is the first phrase or word they'll use in that situation when the movie reviewers pounce on it.
Well, and it goes hand in hand with the slogan "Write what you know," which I think is horrible advice.
I do too. I know it's such an easy, it's such a lazy person's way to just give you advice.
Yeah, and it also doesn't, because people interpret that meaning like, let me write a scene that I had with my real life friends at a game night and write in all of my inside jokes so we come off as adorable.
Yeah.
But the audience is like, what the fuck are they talking about?
You can't mass market, right? Nobody relates to your inside jokes. Like, if there's commerce involved, where you have to
broaden it.
You have to broaden it, right? No one's gonna write what you know is it's basic bitch advice, but you can't hold to that. You'll never make a cent. You'll never.
Limitations are a movie's best friend for success. Honestly,
Al Sharpton looked better. You're right, Josh. Al Sharpton's the perfect one to look better. Yeah. You're right. Go ahead, David. I'm sorry.
No, it's that paradox of like, limitations make your thing better, because, I mean, editing is, it is limitations on a film because it keeps people from being too masturbatory. And sometimes they fail at that even, that you're not making sort of a slick movie that is broad enough it is possible to see the limitations that film requires in order to be broadly popular as an art form. The idea that you can't see that as a jigsaw puzzle worth solving and trying to figure out how to make this seem like it's artistic, but also make it slick enough that it can be appreciated in a really sort of clean way. It is possible. Johnny Depp probably, I don't know if he's being called self-indulgent, he probably has some idea from all of his heroes that, like, don't listen to the common knowledge about how to make a good movie. Right. Yeah.
It's like the Ed Wood advice with Vincent D'Onofrio as Orson Welles: don't spend your life living somebody else's dream. But if your dream's not translatable to screen, who gives a shit? You don't know. But when he complains about, I want to go back to music and the film, what he can do on a film and having your own the creative process. David, if someone said to you, you could do your own film like him, or just play music, wouldn't you say, well, having a film gives me 5 different creative outlets to be creative instead of just music?
Right.
There's nothing. No one's telling him no musically anyway. He could crowbar his own music onto a movie if he wanted to.
Well, and the other thing too is like, as a producer, if he was producing a movie, if he was a smart producer, he could have opinions about how the other departments should approach the style of their particular art form. But if he's smart, he'll just hire the best people he knows and leave them alone. I always think that if you want to do your dream project, if you want to tell your dream story, and it's a film where you're going to need the help of other people, the responsibility that comes with you getting to say everything you've ever wanted to say is treat your collaborators well by leaving them alone and trusting that they can do the job that you hired them for.
Right.
I think that sometimes these, auteur filmmakers micromanage their collaborators, even if it's I get micromanaged by directors all the time who haven't written music at all. They don't know what they're doing, and they can only speak in vague, androgynous zones of adjectives as to what they want, but so anyway, I think that a good movie comes from knowing
that's what I think his problem with Ma Wen stems from.
Right.
That he's kind of going, I've been doing this, I've done how many movies and how many different people in how many different ways. I'm not taking your direction.
Yeah.
I'm not. So when they argued, he must have been like, I've done so much more than she has. I'm not listening to this shit.
Yeah. And I think, so to sum up what I've been rambling about, I think a good movie is a movie where the people working on it understand that the only way this is going to be good is we have to self-impose limitations on it. Even if we want to just like blather on about something we think is brilliant, you have to have good editing and good limitations on it, broaden it in terms of your style, and so it fits in with the movies that are making money stylistically, and also treat your collaborators well. Just leave them alone, trust them to do the job that they're hired to do.
I just listened to a podcast with Rasheed Wallace and Bonzi Wells, who were two former Blazers. They both played on a lot of different teams, and they basically, the basis of it was they were talking about coaches when they played, and they both said the consensus in the NBA, past and present now, is players don't want to play for a coach that's never played in the NBA. You don't know where I've been. You don't know what I'm going through.
Right.
You don't relate to this. I don't want to hear some, 5'6" white guy analytic nerd telling me to do how to interior anything about the interior defense or how to play. And so it's like it's kind of what you're saying. You can't take serious when someone's giving you direction or advice of someone who's never done it or been there before. It would be very difficult. And athletes go through that all the time. Like, I can't believe this guy's yelling at me. You have no idea what we're going through.
Right. Yeah, no, it's very similar. I mean, if you're not the director or the editor, oftentimes you can have directors that, especially with music, like directors understand every other aspect of film. They understand cinematography, editing, costume design, lighting, but if they don't understand music, and the composer is usually the first person they hand.
If I were your boss and I told you to arpeggiate, wouldn't you just like, I can't believe, you'd be going crazy. Like, you would not, there'd be no way in hell you would take that command seriously, right? You'd blow it off. I need the job. Fuck him. I'll get it done. And
right. And what I do is like, because usually if directors give you a statement like it needs to be, and they use all the like this line of $10 words because they feel like they need to give me direction. They can't just let me do it. I can usually pick out like, oh, they want this kind of drum in it. Okay, so I'll add that and do what I was going to do anyway. And it usually works. They're like, yes, that's exactly. Meanwhile, it took me 2 seconds to make the change that they wanted.
Amber didn't sue herself. People do act like she sued herself during that. I got another question, Johnny. Bye reminds you, just to kind of use the other side. I pose this scenario all the time. How does Fairfax go if you switched legal team, like the Marvel Comics? Right. What if you switched legal teams? How does Fairfax go? Take Brown Rudnick and give him the Amber Heard, and take Rottenborn and Bredehoft and give him the Depp. How does that go?
See, I have trouble with that scenario because his picking I mean, I know Amber was given that through that's all her insurance company could afford. Is that correct?
Oh, you
Yes,
just did it
that's correct.
correct?
Okay. Yes, I'm sorry, I'm using words
Correct.
from the trial.
Correct.
Is that correct? But I have trouble with that scenario just because their legal teams are such an extension of their either their personalities or their amount of humanism, you know.
I know. I'm just saying it's a what if. What happens
I get it,
if they
yeah.
switch legal teams?
And as you always say, Johnny Depp also has horrible taste in Friends, so it is kind of a miracle that he got a kind of somewhat virtuous legal team.
Yes, that's a great point. And so what Johnny Bob is asking me, what happens to everybody affiliated with Amber Heard's legal team post Fairfax? Wouldn't you say the opposite would happen to their practices? That why on earth would you ever use Rottenborn or Bredehoff or anyone in their stead as your right? Wouldn't that just destroy their practices in Roanoke? Would you ever use them, seeing what you saw on display?
Yeah. Well, for Elaine, it seems like she was like a day away from retirement. So
she's in hiding. I haven't heard a thing about her
or any of them.
Yeah,
I would hire Rottenborn to represent me.
I wouldn't. The name, and he's not likable. I wouldn't. No matter how deft you think he is, no matter legalese acumen, you just don't like him and you just don't trust him. And the name.
But he's a pit bull who, unfortunately, she was able to control the defense that she wanted. He wanted to go with the more technical aspect, which, you know, she would have won on had she allowed him to take control and lead her defense the way that it should have been presented. But no, she had to embellish. She had to get all these sexual stories out there. That was just part of her mental illness that she was diagnosed with by Curry.
Well, and her auditioning process too. You know, the technical stuff doesn't showcase her acting abilities on the stand.
You don't bring your ex-girlfriend to court for years over a pretty vague, tame Washington Post op-ed. News stories so quick with Depp dragged it out.
As
we were talking about you and I were talking about this is we talk about Vanessa, and as it goes, people always go, what happened to Vanessa Perry? Where's his ex? You know, they're together for 14 years, never married. The rumor goes, and this is because of an NDA, you're really not going to know this officially, but they had huge problems in France, and he gave her, the rumor is $100 million for an NDA to not talk about this at all. And supposedly you think the kids are mixed up in that and stuff. It is really weird how she just like little petty statement for the UK. It wasn't used. She wasn't used in Fairfax. So the rumor goes that he paid her out with $100 million NDA. And that's why she's so bizarre. She's just sort of disappeared into that. He cheated on her, as a matter of fact, probably twice. And they were never married, which is weird. And that's how, I mean, I got to tap into it a little more, but supposedly he called her an extortionist. He called her the French albatross extortionist. What else could that possibly mean unless that were true?
Depp called Vanessa that?
Vanessa Paradis, the French extortionist.
Really?
Albatross. That's in one of the crazy texts. I believe, was the extortionist word used in Fairfax, Sarah? Sara? No time is a good time. Hello? Hello? I don't know. She might have ducked out.
Are they not on good terms, Vanessa and Depp?
That's part of the NDA.
Okay, we don't know.
He'll give you, high road speak about it. I'm not sure they are. I don't know. It's so bizarre to me. The kids were never present at Fairfax. Could you imagine? I know you're obviously very close with your parents. Could you imagine them being in a trial and not being there?
No. I mean, it would be tough, but I would want to be there just to. It's a tough thing. I mean, my parents had a really great relationship, and so it's hard for me to even imagine them. I don't hating each other and how that would divide me as their child.
The only way I could imagine like defending that would be, oh well, the kids can't bear to see the woman who home wrecked their marriage.
Yeah.
They weren't married, but you know, the relationship,
Yeah.
their mom, and cheated on their mom, so they can't be around. That's the only way. But nevertheless, they're the ones who, in the end, right? The bottom line is they're the ones who gain the most from it all. Anyway, they're getting the inheritance.
Right. And that is a different situation where it's like if it was my father and his mistress, you know, like that, that would be, I was thinking of it in terms of like my parents like going to court over between each other.
If you were Amber Heard's team, like in a mean-spirited way, I certainly would do this.
Right.
I'm like, Mr. Depp, you claim this trial, you're litigating here for 6 weeks and is about your kids, yet you're cutting out on the last day when the result happens.
Right.
And this is about your kids, and you don't want your kids being about. Where are your kids?
Yeah.
If I was so close to them, I was worried about my kids, what they thought of me, and wouldn't my kids be present here, having my back?
No.
Supporting me?
It's ridiculous.
Where would they be? Where are they? That's what I would say if I were Rottenborn, and let's see how they answer that. But he never did.
And he would be
said that all
crucified,
throughout.
rightfully so.
You say Whitney Houston?
Mm-hmm.
There's Sue Monster, and because you're here, Sue Monster, I want to wish you the happiest of birthdays. Speaking of relitigation, I hope my rust isn't relitigated, but while I can and while I still have my pipe still available to me. Happy birthday to Sue. Happy birthday to Sue. Happy birthday, dear Sue Monster. Happy birthday to you. And Marlon Brando. Could be. Thank you, Sue Monster. Happy birthday, Sue Monster, from your Deppening and Radio Gunk family.
Yeah,
I believe
happy birthday.
That's what I saw in the chat. Depp Ultimate is the ultimate cuck, sitting in court with the magic markers, using his ex-girlfriend over a newspaper.
I picture Johnny Depp like doing word searches as Amber's, you know, he's dragging a big highlighter across a page like, ooh, Stephen King, you know, like trying to find words.
That'd be great if he's reading Tiger Beat magazines from the late 80s.
Right. 21 Who Gives a Shit Street. You know?
did you catch that in the audio when she screamed? She's kind of walking out, and you hear in the background, 21 Who Gives a Shit Street. Aquaman.
And meanwhile, Arm is like, what about me?
I know. I'm sitting there in the middle like, no! I love them both equally. Depp and Amber Heard need each other, put them alone in Depp Island for a month in a reality TV crew. Could you imagine that? Them agreeing to do a reality show. Could you imagine how massive that would be?
That episode of Overhauling wasn't enough. I need more.
Yeah, thank you, David. On our Patreon is the Overhauling episode.
Yes.
You get to see Amber's mom and the only footage of her mom, Paige Heard, who I feel very sorry for in this whole scenario.
Yeah.
By the way, it's so funny we talk about like age appropriate stuff, and Depp is only 3 years different than Amber Heard's mom, and 23 years different. So he's 21 years closer in age to Amber Heard's mom than he is to Amber Heard. Isn't that that's crazy in that world? How weird that would be.
You know, there is something about actors where it's like we don't have parents. We're fully formed under a moist stone. Like, you know, age differences don't matter.
Yes, let me go.
This whole bit about the Amber Heard and Johnny Depp trial documents surfacing and like all kinds of alleged behavior on the.
Do you guys have a feeling Kevin Smith knows a lot more than he lets on? He was right there. He's the father of Lily Rose's best friend. Right. I have a feeling he knows a lot more than through Harley Quinn.
I could see him grilling his daughter for gossip. Yeah,
no doubt about it. He knows everything.
A part of Momoa, who was apparently allegedly drunk and dressed like Johnny Depp, and like he.
I don't know that he. I mean, I met him once on a plane. Seemed like a nice guy, but I don't think he just.
He met Momoa once on a plane.
Right. Right.
Pellel says Depp's style is too upper class. We get Louis the 15th shit. Yeah, I know. I know. I hate all things period piece, Bill. I'm with you.
Dressed like Johnny Depp. I think he dresses. I don't think he dressed as Johnny Depp. I think he just kind of dresses like Johnny Depp, layers and shit like that.
Right. I mean, that's like it's very like he said, she said. It's like, you know, Heard's people are like, this is the thing that happened that was done intentionally to dispirit my client. And then Momoa's reps are like, hey, he's not dressed like Johnny Depp. He's always dressed like a bohemian. Like he's always been in like flowy things and lots of chains and rings and whatever.
Can you pause it for a second?
Yes.
You know, it's like.
Sorry, the period piece made me think of something. Do you think that the obsession with period pieces are sort of like a collateral of doing so many Tim Burton movies where it's basically fantasy period pieces? Like,
no doubt about it, they're linked to a lot of Burton movies that are period. Many of Burton's movies are period pieces, half of them at least. And
I wonder if he just feels like, I can't play a regular guy, like I'm above that or something.
Yeah,
like,
we say this all the time on here.
Okay.
I every time he plays a regular guy, he doesn't know how to approach it. He looks bored, and I'll give you his attempts. And tell me how bored he. I mean, did you ever see The Tourist?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, how bored does he look? How bad is his chemistry with Angelina? Amber Heard's chemistry. Depp and Jolie, that's chemistry I haven't seen since Kobe Bryant and Dwight Howard had better chemistry than those two.
Right. You're right. Yeah.
So that's and Sarah, you think he's trying to look like Eddie Vedder in that?
He's the mirror image of Eddie Vedder. I don't know if he tried, but it's shocking.
There was some gossip about that. I'll ignore it if it comes to me. If it's relevant here. Nick of Time.
Yeah,
is his attempt at playing a regular guy. Gene Watson. He's a geeky accountant. He didn't know how to approach it, and he kind of looks. Even though I very much enjoy that movie, it's a guilty pleasure of mine. And set in real time before 20. He looks very bored, doesn't he?
Right.
In that. Transcendence. I mean, that's soporifically bored. He literally Skyped that movie in. Nobody looks more bored than Depp in Transcend. I mean, that's an attempt. I think they tried to frame it like, but an eccentric scientist, but it's not. He looks incessantly bored in that movie, and just on and on and on. Would you say that Mort Rainey in Secret Window is an attempt at a regular guy, Sarah?
Well, he's an author, right? So is it a real normal guy?
No, but it's somewhat set in modern time, and it's more normal than most things he's done.
I don't get the sense of normal guy in that movie, but my sense of normal guy is he's a factory worker. So I don't see him ever playing a normal guy. Even Nick of Time,
a normal guy.
Nick of Time, he wasn't really a normal guy. Gilbert Grape is more normal guy.
Nick of Time is supposed to be like he even framed it this way. Oh my God, this is my attempt at playing a very normal guy, and it's the most normal. So he doesn't know. He's trying to come at it. You know, he puts the glasses on, but he looks bored. And the criticism Depp has as an actor is that he can't just expose himself and just be normal guy in regular time playing it. He needs, and again, it's supposed to be about transforming, and the very definition of acting is chameleon like becoming someone else, but you know what I mean.
I wonder if he could like make Daniel Day-Lewis type of choices, you know, with his where they're, you know, whether you're playing like a president or an historical figure or something like that, where there is a sort of reality based thing to the film, but it's just you're amping up the emotional sort of narrative.
I'll give you two guys. I'll give you a guy, Tom Hanks.
Yeah.
Look at what Tom Hanks has sort of mastered the art of playing the normal guy in everyman situations. Does Depp have the ability to do that in that way? Probably not. It's probably not.
Yeah.
If he can't do something, it's not that does he want to do it? I think it's more of, are you going to roll your eyes and look bored when you do it? Tom Hanks doesn't look bored when he does that.
Right.
Bradley Cooper in Silver Linings Playbook.
Yeah.
Can he do that? That's what we're asking for.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's kind of why I feel like the Tim Burton films require him to be so extreme, simultaneously over the top and subdued. It's like such a weird
subdued. Right, that's a word they use a lot. Subdued is a word they use a lot. Restrained, subdued. Yeah, it gives you like an out to not emote.
I mean, they really are a match made in heaven, that actor-director pair.
They say he doesn't show enough emotion when he does. He doesn't show enough. He doesn't emote like a real person does. Too much eye rolling. Too much. You're playing it too cool for school, and restrained. And what was the word you
subdued?
Subdued. Subdued.
And I think that Tim Burton probably loves that because it doesn't distract from his amazing visuals. And that's what he probably cares about the most, is that look at how talented I am as a visual artist.
Kathy Scott likes to make this point. She says this a lot. She goes, he said he always does he's going to do whatever he wants to do. And there's some good of it. Well, that's the problem. You can't blame Amber Heard because you're always doing what you want to do. So your bad misses and bad decisions are on you. You can't blame Amber Heard for Lone Ranger and Alice too, because that trial is about him having, oh God, my career has been tarnished. Because your decisions, you bankrupt those horrible budgets and bad movies, and then the lateness is on set, and then now the drug. Him doing what he wants to do at all times. I don't know of a time when he didn't do anything he wanted to do.
Yeah.
So you have to negotiate. Your vision is not going to permeate. So when it doesn't translate to profit or capital or hits, that's on you. It's not on Amber Heard.
Yeah, I agree.
You know what I mean? Like, you can't blame her for that. As much as I'd like to, you can't blame her for that. That's because it was. The bottom line is that it tarnished his reputation for all the movie companies, right? That's really what, at its core, is what he's worried about.
Well, and I wonder if I've said this before, like if he's not. I mean, he allegedly doesn't want to do act in movies right now. But is it also that the film companies don't want the agita of working with him? Not because of the Amber Heard stuff, but because of the lateness and because of, it seems like he's in movies that don't make a lot of money now, and do they get that sort of stench of failure from him that they don't want to work with him?
That's what I was hoping. I mean, I remember thinking before anything was levied, I remember going, okay, good. I want Warner Brothers to fire him. I want Disney to have nothing, because I want him to go back to What's Eating Gilbert Grape and Ed Wood, and I was happy about that. So you're a walking contradiction, because which is it? You don't want to have anything to do with Warner Brothers or Disney, but you want to do good. So get rid of them, and then you have your own. What's stopping you from doing your own film? Who cares how much money? If you're rich as Croesus, you're still flying private with teams of security. So him and Broke doesn't make any sense. He could do a Japanese beer commercial and make $15 million tomorrow. There's no Broke in his world. There's no bottom. He could do anything he wants commercial wise, and if the Sauvage crap, there's no Broke with him. So if you're flying private from 15 miles, he's taking a private jet to the next destination. So there's no Broke. So he has his own production company. There's no excuse to do a bad movie.
Right.
Because he's calling the shots.
It goes back to my theory that, and not that I believe this theory, but I'm just suggesting that he's as great an actor as he is, maybe he needs someone else's artistic taste to determine what script is good. Like you, Mr. Arm. Maybe he doesn't have an eye for a good overall movie, or what has the potential to be a good overall movie. But if someone is shrewd enough to plug him into the right thing, and he does his thing, it can be, it can just be nirvana,
As far as I don't know of any influence. His decisions to take a movie, it's all him doing, and sometimes it's for all the wrong reasons.
Right.
And there is nobody that's sitting over him going, you make it. and that this has come up, telling him no, like this is a horrible choice. You need to not do this, because Tracy Jacobs talks about that a lot in her transcript about she developed a really good eye for that was kind of her talent of you should do this, and this is, and he stopped listening to her, and all these turds came out one after the next.
Well, and I mean, just from him doing something from his production company point of view, where it's like, it's one thing for him to be hired for Gilbert Grape and he's not involved in the producerial part of it. But if he's overseeing sort of like what script they decide to, I mean, again, he might be looking at a good script from the point of view of just an actor and not from, will this overall make, because period pieces are like, actors love them because it's all monologues, like, so it may be a great vehicle for him to show off, but is it really holistically a good movie?
I think in his case, you have to go, okay, I've gone down this road before. I need to, he's sort of, there's a lot of cronyism involved. And even when it's a major company bringing him in as an actor, that he still is going to take the role based on the creative in freedom he'll have anyway. So can I hire my friends? He's not doing it unless he has some say. In fact, he writes his own character like 90% of the time. So he's coming in there going, okay, I'm going to base this on, let's just take the old tired Jack Sparrow character. Keith Richards meets Pepe Le Pew, and they let him do it. He's not taking the role unless he has the creative ability to do that. And even if he doesn't, it's not his production company doing it, and it's coming from Disney. He's not going to take it unless they give him the freedom to create his own character, which very few actors get the opportunity to do or have the ability to do. It's because he can pull it off. I mean, no matter what, he has to have a certain percentage of creative control over his own character.
Sure. I have one final question. I'm sorry, I don't mean to derail the show. But do you think that his playing guitar around the world right now is kind of a pick up your marbles and go home move? Like he's being a martyr? Like, well, fine. I just won't be in any movies.
There's definitely some martyrdom in there. Yeah.
I'll just play guitar. Like you don't deserve me in movies. I'm not going to be in movies.
I think there is. I think there's definitely some martyrdom in there.
Okay.
As far as you're hoping he gets bored with it. And something comes along like Modi. We're kidding. He's not reuniting with Al Pacino. This isn't Donnie Brasco 2. It's not even Jack and Jill. They're not on screen together. He's directing it. You're gonna. A lot of the sort of fake new fans he have will see this and pretend they like. You would never see Modi in any way. I would never watch this movie if he didn't direct it. It's the perfect film for would you see it if Depp. He's not in it, he's directing it. So that's a true test of I wouldn't wipe my ass with this movie's DVD if he wasn't directing it. Never flinch, never look at it. It could be playing in my backyard and I'd close the blinds if he wasn't directing it. Are you kidding yourself if you think you would? And that was the beauty of him coming through the 90s is he introduced you to genres of movies you'd never watch on your own. I would never have seen Dead Man if he wasn't in it. Black and white movie. I would never have seen that if he wasn't in it. So, and then it made me kind of search for or appreciate that genre of that independent film. But it's not going to be the 90s ever again. Those days are gone. And they're never coming back. Johnny Bison, the federal indictment's going to land when we find out Hollywood Vampires is some sort of trafficking money laundering scheme. I want to know how much he's making on the vampires because that was a huge problem with the Tracy Jacobs days that he was getting like whatever the scale equivalent is. And Alice Cooper's manager got into a huge brawl with Tracy Jacobs of exploiting him. Thank you, Josh Foster. Thank you. You guys are the best chat there is. I might say.
Agreed.
Flamer says, hey, David, you're so on point. The choices of the legal team and expert witnesses are reflective of his personalities. He's casting his legal team where they are. It's all about the charisma. As common law, wife Vanessa Perry will be entitled to a settlement for the length of the relationship. She was right on reading AH through made some rename the yacht. Yeah,
Oh.
that. What was the yacht? What was the cost of that yacht again? It was crazy. It didn't even look like it's old looking too. It's like $25 million. It was crazy. Whatever it was like insane.
It's like a catamaran that you went on a game show.
It was like a Gilligan's Island boat.
Right.
Yeah.
God.
Is Jay still on his boat? No, he's got the island, Isabel. He's got the island. That was the first thing I think he thought to keep. He was talking about the island in the last interview we read about escaping there. Deppstein Island. She would recognize the style of dress since he was dressed like Johnny during the trial a few times. Yeah, well, everyone's dressing like him.
Howard Stern.
Depp is a normal guy and the professor. Judy Tenuta says, yeah, the professor's a good one. I didn't necessarily buy him as a professor in that. It was a weird casting. I would have gone a different direction. I would have dressed differently. I would have given him. He looks bored in that movie, and I definitely would put that in there, Judy. That's a good one. He definitely looks. That definitely fits right into what we're talking about. The professor. I need to watch that again too. By the way, as much as underwhelmed as I was by it, I need to watch it again.
Yeah.
I think he can't get out of his own arse, says Spell Elf. Yeah, Gilbert Grape. Yeah, we brought Gilbert Grape up. He's normal in that. It's based on, apparently that character is Gilbert Grape. The look of him is based on a friend he had in Miramar named Bones. And I don't know. I've not heard of this guy other than that scenario. The Gilbert Grape, for anyone who knows Depp, says that Gilbert Grape is the closest to the real guy in real life. Like it's the most representative of what Depp is if you just hang out with him. That's who he most resembles. It was pretty normal. Murder. Well, he's not. He's playing cops and he's playing other people and like a Lucky Luciano gangster. It's a normal guy, but not normal in the sense that they're doing spectacular things. I know what you're saying.
It's not Tom Hanks playing a FedEx guy in Castaway.
No. Or Larry Crown.
Yeah.
Bradley played in the Eagles fan in Silver Linings Playbook. That's not normal at all. Tone Cotty. He can't blame anyone for what he chooses. That's right, Kathy. David, great point. They would even put him up if they knew he'd make him money. And a lot of times it is all about, Hollywood is not worried about your mental health. They're not worried about abuse. They're not worried about anything. They're worried about profit. Yeah. And what he did was start to squander these huge budgets, and they weren't making money. And that's when they bailed on him. Lest you think they care about anything except that. It's all about commerce.
Yeah.
Lost in Translation 2. Yeah, that's a Bill Murray movie. That's really how Scarlett Johansson got cast and everything, was really that movie. Right. That really started it all with her. That's overrated, that movie. It's okay. It's fine. It's good. It's solid. It's above average. It ain't Academy worthy. I don't know how and that he got nominated against Bill Murray for Pirates for that.
I think because you can't hear what Bill Murray says at the end. Like that's why that movie is over. That's why it got hyped bigger than it is.
Yep, that's right.
Just a gimmick. There's a gimmick that made that movie more overhyped than it deserved to be.
He needs to hear criticism and take it. Okay.
He's conducting himself as a professional all times on the set of Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. Does he like a drink occasionally? Sure. Everybody does. But he doesn't show up drunk on set. But, it's like we talked about it before, that all the reshoots, years and years and years of reshoots. But, the more that comes out about this thing, the more it's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I don't know. I saw the one thing that that I read in the news that I was like, well, I guess I can understand that, was they were having test screenings, and spoilers, kids. I don't know if they're going to continue doing this in the movie, but they did this once in the comics, so spoilers for that as well. In the comics many years ago, Black Manta killed Aquaman's son. The Aqua Baby.
Aqualad.
Aqualad. Him and
That's not Aqualad. This guy's a comic book writer. It's not. It's Arthur Jr. Aqualad is Tempest. That's not Aqualad. It's not the same character. I don't know why he said that. He writes comic books too.
Him and Mira's baby. So that's pretty famous comic book storyline, and it sounds like they included a version of that in this new Aquaman movie, where Black Manta kills Aquaman and Mira's baby, and fucking audiences walked out. They were like, "Fuck this." So I can get my head around that if some audience is like, "I don't fucking come to no superhero movie to watch a fucking baby die." But the comic book guy in me was like, "Well, that's what they did in the comics." So it sounds like that's probably going to go away. It sounds like they've been changing this movie so much, dude. They had minimum 2 Batmans in this movie at one point. They had Michael Keaton Batman, and they also had the fucking Ben Affleck Batman.
Yeah, I mean, apparently the sequel has endured challenges outside of the Amber Heard saga and was testing in the 60s before being recut in the summer of 2022. Despite the overhaul, the film continued to test in the 60s, prompting another new cut. This movie is like the echo of regimes, says one insider. It's the last remnant of the Snyderverse, and no one really wants to take ownership of it. Reshoots took place right up until this year's WGA strike in May. Let's see. In fact, none of the stars cast by Zack Snyder for Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice and Justice League, including Ben Affleck, Henry Cavill, Gal Gadot, Ezra Miller, and Momoa, will reprise their roles in the new DC universe in character. Momoa may return, just not as Aquaman. Sources say the actors engaged in talks to play Lobo, either in the 2025 reboot Superman Legacy.
Okay, this is how this could have went, right? So in the DC, and then David does a score for this, so get ready for some great music. It was structured by the DC animated universe with Arthur Jr., and this is how, if they were smart, this is how they would do it. And they would use the guys from DC animation, Bruce Timm and Dwayne McDuffie, and Kevin Hopps wrote the screen for this. And this is how it goes. This is how they rewrote it.
Yet another innocent victim of the surface dwellers' aggression. Sadly, that will also make me the rightful heir to the throne. I have a solution. What do you mean?
So that's Arthur Jr.
Mm-hmm.
And they're talking about how. So in the animated series, the Justice League animated series, they adapted the storyline and they tweaked it to this. This is how, if they were smart, they would go to these guys and they would do this.
No. Well, I'm off to avenge.
You hear that soundtrack, Debbie?
Yeah.
You did a good job on this.
Thank you.
Such a good job on this. There's Amber Heard. There she is. So there's Mira, and watch what happens at the end of this. How he saved his son. This is an animated series on.
Your hand.
Where is Orm?
So he cuts off his own hand in their continuity to save his son. And then that hand becomes a hook. Becomes kind of like a grapple hook that's made from Starlab.
That's a good trade-off.
Great trade-off.
To broaden it. See, that's what I was saying before. It's like sometimes you need to broaden the original source material where it can still be impactful, but maybe just not as much of a downer, you know?
Yeah, and that's the perfect way to do it.
Yeah.
They've been yelling at DC Films for forever to not use the animated series because they kind of concocted their own universe. Yeah, it still appeals to the purists, but they would tweak it. You can't have a baby dying on the Cartoon Network, which is where that aired.
Yeah.
And it still was really edgy and would have worked really well.
Of course.
I don't know why they didn't just mimic that. Seriously.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. It's amazing the wrong people are running this.
Yeah.
Joni goes, that's why I found the filming of Gilbert Grape so difficult, too close for comfort. Monroe. A good Cosmic Cow reference, Flamer. I found it difficult to watch for my own reasons. So Depp's he thinks that Gilbert Grape mirrors his own early days, and it's like Miramar and Owensboro the most, and that's why he turned to heroin, hence the intervention at Tracy Jacobs' house. It spiraled him into, and the breakup with Winona Ryder. But they say that the Gilbert Grape character is the most resembles him in real life. She's right. Billy whispered, Richard Dreyfuss was an asshole on set. I still hate Chevy Chase. Isn't it the reverse? Isn't it Dreyfuss that said Bill Murray was the bully? Or on
What About Bob?
Yeah.
I mean, they're both weirdos. I bet you
Dreyfuss is prickly too. I bet you he's not.
He is. Yeah. I've heard stories.
I have too, and I was surprised when I heard. I mean, Bill Murray's got some crazy stuff that have come out that he's kind of evaded. We talked about it on here.
Yeah, with the Gina Davis.
Gina Davis,
stuff.
Yeah,
right.
Gilbert and Rue are brilliant because Rue is from Chocolat, David. That's from. By the way, same director. I don't know if you knew that. That's Peter Hedges. Lasse Hallström, I'm sorry, directs both movies, which is kind of
direct Chocolat and which one?
Gilbert Grape.
And Gilbert Grape.
Yeah, it's the same director, Lasse Hallström. She didn't bring that up on. It's just a coincidence.
God, weird. Such different styles and
I don't know what the last thing he did, Lasse Hallström, is. I haven't. But did you hear the story? We told it on here with Mark Forster, who directed Monsters Ball and Finding Neverland and a few other things. In the Tracy Jacobs transcript, there's an exchange with one of the studios, and she writes back. It might have been Christie Depp, who we're about to do a transcript of. She wrote back, I don't want Johnny doing that new Mark Forster piece of shit.
God.
And I don't know what the film was. I can't remember what it was, but he directed Finding Neverland. And so that got out there, and that's how he's just, this is the stuff they don't want you to know in Hollywood. This is stuff. I mean, if you opened up anyone's text, you're going to see stuff like that.
Oh,
and
the amount of tea that is just floating in the ether as text exchange, I can't even. When was that transcript? When did she say that?
When did she conduct the transcript?
Yeah, that she said he's not going to do that.
May of 2018. And it was kind of like they used it for his financial fight with his managers.
Yeah.
Saying that they all squandered. He blamed Tracy Jacobs. He blamed his sister. And so that was for that. And it was for, they used it again. I have not found any expanded version of what you saw in Fairfax, because they had a video testimony with her, which was done.
So
earlier
I'm looking at Mark. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, you go.
I'm looking at Mark Forster's IMDb right now. In 2018, he directed for Disney Christopher Robin, the live action.
Maybe that's it.
Like it probably is. So
what's the year again, W?
2018 it came out, and Owen McGregor plays grown up Christopher Robin.
That's got to be it. Because you could see Depp and Ewan McGregor getting cast in the same thing.
And it's such a magical, sort of wistful type of movie. Because the other one he directed, but it's like 4 years later, so it's probably not it, is the Man Called Otto, the Tom Hanks that he was in with his son.
What year?
2022, so that's not.
There's no way Tom Hanks is the second choice to anything.
So it's the live action Christopher Robin movie that she's referring to. Yeah. Perfect year that, in terms of it fits the, the transcript and stuff. If you look at the poster of this movie, it looks like Johnny Depp's face. Like if you go on IMDb right now and look up the poster for this movie, it's like Owen McGregor wearing like a trench coat and like a detective cap, like a bowler cap, and it just looks like something they would try to get Johnny Depp to do.
When you can't get Depp, right? There's a list, and it's gone on for years. Like when you watch we'll get Colin Farrell, or we'll get Ewan McGregor. It's like we'll get Ethan Hawke, and it's like you see these names like they start to deteriorate, and you know that Ewan McGregor comes up a lot when you can't get Depp to do it. That's no question about it.
Yeah.
They all played like Kerry Cavill was too dark. He killed Zod. Yeah, Pello. Too dark when they killed Zod. Some of the original comic, Superman was a psychopath. That's right. You gotta and there's like David said, there's a middle ground that's not too difficult to find. I don't know why no one can seem to find it.
You just replace the sort of sadistic thing with something that is maybe the hero sacrificing something. It's still impactful, but it doesn't leave you feeling, it's a better moral value, I think, the idea of sacrificing as opposed to like revenge on outright tragedy.
How funny is this? This Johnny Bye-Bye is brilliant. He really is. The only way I would watch Aquaman 2 is if there's an ultimate Amber Heard cut. Could you imagine if Blu-ray came out with that? How effing funny would that be?
That's really good.
That's really funny. That's not even like ridiculous. I could almost see them doing it. Hey, if you like Amber Heard, well, here's what we would have done. That's so funny. That's so brilliant. And he's the first one to say it like that.
It's almost like how they tried to bury the Star Wars Christmas special for decades, and then like everybody has to have it now.
The Amber cut. That's so funny. That's so funny. Oh my God. It's like okay. If you hate her, don't get it then. It's for Amber. It's for Ambophiles like G Canada and Johnny Bye-Bye. That's so funny. And we would still look at it. We would all still watch it.
Of course. Yeah. It's for G Canada and Mr. Skin.
And for Olden Polonies, right? Right. Olden Polonies is like, well, what about me? Ralph Sampson left Virginia. I'm a good center. Why can't I be the number one pick? You can't kill a baby on Adult Swim, says Johnny Fuck. Can you kill a baby on Adult Swim?
Maybe if it's like the most cartoonish Ren and Stimpy ironic thing ever, but I doubt it.
I picture a young David.
Yeah.
Like you are so tailor-made for Adult Swim. Like that was so your generation. That was you know what I mean? Like when that was big, like you're like
I tell you, because they in the 90s, they would, for Batman the Animated Series, Tiny Toons, Animaniacs, they would get a 35-piece orchestra together, and they
you're so right. Like when you watch that stuff, it does not get nearly enough credit for how brilliant the orchestra is on those shows, and no one thinks about it.
And now it's, they barely hire any, it's just, the budget is so slashed as it is everywhere because most of it is going to the producers now. And
did you love that stuff as a kid? Like
loved
Animaniacs and all
of course.
The new comedy, because there's not enough new comedy cartoons that they're kind of written by adults for adults, but kids love them.
And Nickelodeon had, the non whatever the pedophile's name is, I forget his name,
Dan Schneider.
Thank you. Okay. Sorry, the non-Dan Schneider shows on Nickelodeon. A lot of the cartoons they had like really sophisticated. Like you always talk about learning words from cartoons. That was my experience watching Nickelodeon shows.
It's got such a good tone to it. It's got such like an escapism, like its own. I don't know, what would you call it?
It's not like it's not squeaky clean like Disney is.
Yes.
It's got you had your sort of like over the top, gross out cartoons like Ren and Stimpy, but you also had like kind of like somber, almost bittersweet things like Hey Arnold, and there were.
I said my nephew's a little bit younger than you.
Yeah,
and so I watched all the stuff with him. That's how I knew Boy Meets World. That's why I put that.
There you go. Right.
That's how I watched that. Do you remember Freakazoid?
Oh, Freakazoid is the best. Yeah.
Oh my God, was that fun? That was a really funny show. So one time, he's my Pinky and the Brain's a good one, Flamer. Thank you, Animaniacs. And Flamer, David's a composer, so he does music that fits perfectly into these shows.
I'm
If you
pursuing
hear his
animation
stuff,
mostly.
it's perfect for these shows. And what I just watched, the Justice League and Batman stuff from Warner Brothers, it's perfect. I can't tell you how tailor made it is for that. And so we're watching this, NFL's on, and they're huge sports fans too. But my nephew is like, he must have been 8 or something, or 7 or 8. And so he's just sort of torn between sports and cartoons at that point. And he's watching Freakazoid, and my brother-in-law changes the channel. He goes, hey, that's one of my favorite shows. My brother-in-law rolls his eyes. I'm caught in the middle.
Right.
One of my favorite shows.
You're flashing.
He goes, Steven, everything's one of your favorite shows.
You're flashing back to that memory when Johnny Depp and Amber Heard are fighting about which is worse, Aquaman or 21 Jump Street.
That's what I was caught in the middle. I'm like, I'm wondering what. It was like a Jets Raiders game or something that was going on.
Yeah.
But those shows, that's like to me, like that's the last generation of those sophisticated cartoons.
How old is your nephew?
He is 30. He's 31.
Okay, so I'm 3 years older. So we had the same childhood. I mean,
you would have been a senior when he was a
freshman. Yeah. No, I mean, and I spoke to a Nickelodeon animator once who said to me that they grew up, an animator in the early 90s, and he said to me that generation just grew up on the most boring, bland Hanna-Barbera cartoons.
Yeah.
And that was their response, was like, let's be completely out of bounds, or do something that's maybe a little more substantive, Or
they're going back to the Bugs Bunny days of Looney Tunes, when it was like Billy West just fawns over, but
Mel
he
Blanc,
should, like Mel Blanc, Billy, that's his hero. Mel Blanc is Billy West's hero, and it should be. And the amount of work that guy did, like doing all the voices and doing all the writing, it's really amazing the year that came out and how good that still looks and what they were able to do back then. Because animation's gotten so crappy, it's gotten so cheap. I don't know. I really feel sorry for kids. They just don't grow up with that. The thrill of Saturday morning cartoons and after school and before school cartoons is not there anymore.
I was rewatching a Nickelodeon show from the early 90s just to I hadn't watched it since I was a kid. And, the animation, even like your attempt at like creating a style instead of just imitating the style of what Pixar cartoon characters look like. There's no diversity of style between different shows anymore. They all sort of have the same character design. Now, too.
Yes,
and,
lazy. Yes, to pump them out. Right. Yeah, that's just pure laziness design like that. It's just easier to animate by not giving it any detail and stuff. It looks like shit. You're one step away from drawing stick figures. Why bother? You might as well just do radio. If you don't want to animate, you might as well just do radio. Thank God you're here, David, because I got a treat for you. I have Heather Langenkamp.
Yes.
Talking to Michael Rosenbaum, who is this is so crazy because I know you're going to hopefully do this. He is if I'm going to do the Michael Brooks story from, he looks exactly like Michael Rosenbaum.
Oh, interesting. Okay. I'll be interested to see this
so great
guy.
when you see him. Tell him who Michael Brooks is. Michael Brooks is from
he's
Majority Report.
Majority Report. He's a political commentator, and he unfortunately passed away, but he was a co-host on the Majority Report, and
on Elm Street.
I'm maybe trying to get in line to, they're going to make a documentary about his life, and I'm trying to put my name into the hat to possibly score it. So we shall see.
Could they not use you? Maybe I'll get involved. What's his tell me who his sister is, and
I'll send you that. Yeah,
I'll start it off by saying Michael Rosenbaum should play your brother.
Yeah, right. He did, just even inside profile here, like the glass and even the outfit is very, sort of mid 2010s hipster looking. Yeah.
By the way, he starts off with this, and he says it's eerie how I had the same rant about horror movies that Michael Rosenbaum says to Heather Langenkamp, how you're not rooting for anyone. It's eerie how similar this. I actually called Dee Snider when I first got Sirius. He had a show called Fangoria Radio.
Okay.
So I'm fooling around on Sirius and I see Dee Snider's on and I'm like, what? And I know, I just call him up with this and I talk about Depp and Nightmare on Elm Street to him. And I said that horror movies stink now because the characters you're rooting for them to die. They have no charisma. And this is what he says to her. It's crazy.
I've seen this. I saw Helen Slater on this podcast, actually. I don't know what she was talking about, but I have seen this podcast before. Yeah.
Davy and Goliath is an old claymation religious show that was on in the morning when for like Generation X. It was like on syndicated. It was like a religious show.
It was like right.
Hey,
yeah.
Davey.
I don't know,
Hans. I don't know how you know it.
Yeah.
Hans Zimmer, the cartoons, WB cartoons. They made a whole orchestra with elastic band side effect for the beginning each time, and it's just so underappreciated.
Yeah.
WB orchestras for those cartoons. It's really, really phenomenal stuff. So now you have me listening for the background. I always did, though. I have to say on the hero shows on Justice, like Aquaman had his own. They gave him his own
theme.
So like, so whenever he appeared, and he wasn't on it enough. Unfortunately he was a guest star. They did some shitty Saturday Morning Hammerman, Rude Dog, and the Dweebs. What is that? Is that new?
I remember those.
What is that from?
I'm not sure.
Tonecott said that. Okay, so here's Heather Langenkamp talking about Depp on Nightmare on Elm Street, won his first role, and the state of horror movies, why they suck now.
Right. Or the ones that just stand the test of time.
Nancy.
And they just don't make them like they used to. And they're just like, I feel like in the 80s, 70s and 80s, these movies were well thought out. Like, this is a good story. These are good characters. Now it's sort of let's do, it just seems like we don't care about character. We don't care if you like people. We're just gonna,
he's so right. God, is that spot on. I said that same thing. They don't care about charisma. There's no thought at all. And you're just not invested in anything. And what's even crazier is they go on to say after this is like real life is actually scarier than anything you could do in horror movies now. Right. I couldn't agree more. Well, Rosenbaum is the best Luthor, Pell. I agree.
And I think that what has happened is like the characters in a horror movie that get killed, it's just an excuse for the director to masturbatorily do all these film techniques, suspense things,
Yes.
So it's like we don't even care who is being picked off one after the other. It's just because I want to try. It's almost like it's a caravan of workshopped ideas of how you can film someone getting killed and how you can sort of play with the audience's their suspense, their feeling of suspense. So yeah, but it's so much better when you actually care about the characters, because then there's actual stakes and you're not just waiting for jump scares. You've got the jump scare anticipation, nervousness, plus I really like these characters. I don't want them to die on top of that. So it's even more intense,
You had me at Caravan.
Yeah.
You had me at Caravan. Obelisk and Hammerman was the MC Hammer cartoon where he saves the day wearing dancing sneakers. Rude Dog was a cool dog with a gang of mutts. Think Poochie from The Simpsons. Okay.
Yeah. So those sound like 80s Hanna-Barbera efforts when they were really reaching for ideas.
The best thing about Nightmare on Elm Street is you like these people. You're with Nancy.
You like
her. If you don't like you, movie doesn't work.
So true. I think, I just don't know if I think the movies are being made a lot quicker than they used to be made.
Exactly.
So that even the actors don't even know each other that well. I mean, I've even been on sets where you don't even know the person. They just come that day and do their part and they leave. And
she's only 1 year younger than Depp.
Mm-hmm.
So even she was, I think, 19 during the filming of Elm Street. He was 20 going on 21.
Right.
When it was filmed. She gets his age wrong here, but that's,
you've never a scary story actually really tries to get into your brain about what we're really afraid of in the world.
Yeah, and I just don't think they do that. I don't think nothing's scary anymore. Very few movies
or
are scary.
everything is
I couldn't agree
scary.
more.
You know, God, I mean, I was just talking to my daughter. She's really scared about her kid going to a school.
Okay, that's scary.
Like, that's really scary.
Yeah. So make a movie about that.
Here's Brendan. His last name is Lang. A lot of people don't realize it was anglicized. So Brendan's real last name was Langenkamp, and they cut it off to Lang.
Oh, interesting.
No, I'm just kidding.
Okay.
Had the Lang.
I would have believed it. Yeah. Right. Ellis Island just fucked up everything. Yeah.
I went a mile
Brendan
for that.
Langenkamp. What's
You drove
that?
a mile just to hit that dead end street.
Oh, that's.
Yeah. I mean, figure it out.
Well, no, it's nice to be around people that are like good. Like you hear a lot of.
Do you agree with Brendan says here? At some point, horror movies crossed over to being essentially torture porn.
I think all genre can eventually filter down to just being softcore porn in some capacity. I mean, I think horror movies have always had like a sort of sexy element to them as well. You know, because the damsel in distress needs to be rescued from the monster or whatever, and you know, as she's hanging from the monster's arms, her cleavage is showing. You know, I mean, it's
I mean, they're completely deviating from what they're talking about. Charismatic people with a good story. They don't care about any of that, and that's why I haven't cared about the horror genre, and I don't know how long. It's one of my least favorite genres too.
But I think there's always been an underground kind of exploitative aspect to the horror genre that was kind of an excuse to produce this sort of softcore porn, and now that's just what the mainstream is, you know.
Yes.
But that's always been there.
Asshole stories. By the way, was Johnny Depp a nice guy back then?
Such a nice guy.
He was.
I'm sure he's a nice guy now,
Did you think
too.
he was going to be a big movie star? Honestly, no way.
I didn't. I mean, because I could not tell if he liked acting or not, because he seemed kind of tortured by it.
Really?
The pressure of, I know that he really worked hard to be, you know, Glenn, and he worked very hard on his part. And so I couldn't tell if he was enjoying himself, frankly. I mean, because he was always so very dedicated and serious, and, you know, but, you know, we all joked around and cracked smiles and stuff, but he was a musician. He was a guitar player. I knew he was in a band. I thought, oh, he's just going to go back to that, because to sit, you know, in a band behind a guitar and play music is, to me, seems so thrilling and like such a great thing to do, to be able to play an instrument like that. I thought, oh, he'll give this up. This won't keep him, you know, satisfied or fulfilled. If you're a great musician, you're not going to turn it all in for acting, you know.
Yeah. Were you attracted to him? Were you like, ooh, he's cute?
He was really cute. You know, he was married when he did Nightmare on Elm Street. Yeah, he was married.
How old was he?
That's pretty crazy to hear. He doesn't even, you know, he doesn't know it.
Yeah.
That's Lori Allison, who
Right.
Kathy Scott is pen pals with now. Text pals. Course has a great correspondence going with asking all these. We just don't. We need to tap into that more somehow, politely. So yeah, Depp's recently married to Lori Allison during this, and he's 20 going on 21 or both during the filming of this.
Yeah.
She says 19. He's not 19. He's 20 going on 21 or both.
Yeah.
John Collins cries himself to sleep every night over the current state of horror. He means the power forward, not the Sable High School grad.
He was like 19. He had a wife.
Oh my gosh.
And I had a really serious boyfriend, but I mean, he was gorgeous. He was gorgeous. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, gorgeous. Yeah.
Wasn't a bad angle. There weren't.
Not a bad angle. And yet he just didn't have that ego at all. So he didn't.
She brings up a great point here about kid actors and how you could tell the difference between how they act in real life and what. Yeah, this is good.
You know, he didn't draw your attention to himself that way. Whereas, you know, I had seen other actors, like I'd been around Matt Dillon, and I'd been around, you know, some of those Brat Pack guys, and they all had this.
Bravado.
Look at me, I'm so hot. You know, they had that confidence because they'd all become incredibly successful by then. And Johnny didn't have that. He was still like kind of finding his place and, you know, unsure of himself. So to me, that was way more attractive, of course, because he didn't have that crazy ego that I think Hollywood made some pretty strong egomaniacs back then too.
I would say so.
It's crazy. Depp comes in there like from Miramar, and his friends are, Charlie Sheen and Nicolas Cage and Robert Downey Jr. And these are who he's hanging out with. And they're all like established like Brat Pack stars and stuff. And he just kind of finds his way into that mix, and you could tell, when you watch a kid actor trying to play a real person, they just don't look believable because they haven't lived a life that you can relate to.
Well, I mean, especially if they're playing something beyond a little kid that goes to school.
Yeah.
If they're
they
playing
didn't even do that. They didn't even do that in real
Right.
life. There's that Hollywood High you always hear about with like Sean Penn and Chris Penn and Charlie Sheen and Emilio Estevez. Holly Robinson went to that. Rob Lowe. They're all, you just don't kind of buy them as real teens or anything like that. And that's kind of that's who he's coming in there with, at that time, the early 80s, the early to mid 80s.
That's interesting that she thought he would just go back to playing music, though.
If you look at his role in the movie, it's not big enough to go, oh, he's going to go on to some great things.
Sure, yeah.
Even though he's the male boyfriend, he's the boyfriend of her. I don't think they knew. I mean, they didn't know the movie was going to be that big, right? Did you have any idea Elm Street would be what it was?
Well, I mean, it's almost like, to maybe to Heather Langenkamp's detriment, she was the star of a horror movie where it's like maybe people didn't take you seriously back then if you were the star of the horror movie, but if you were sort of like a tangential character like Depp was, it's like, oh, he's handsome, and he didn't sort of embarrass himself by screaming and doing what Heather Langenkamp did. So maybe we can refine him into a leading man type of role,
If you ever start your own podcast, would you call it Tangential Caravan?
I would, and then never explain it.
And don't ever explain.
Yeah, no.
Welcome, G Canada. So in keeping with this, David, your favorite actor, Robert Englund. Here's his experience with Depp and the youngest Johnny Depp on the set. And I screen recorded this and kind of tweaked it. This is for some reason, Entertainment Tonight was on the set of Nightmare on Elm Street in 1983-84. I don't know. Isn't it weird they'd be on that set covering it?
Entertainment Tonight has online, they'll be doing little like anniversary videos of movies and stuff. And it's like, it's the 25th anniversary or 30th anniversary of this or that. And E.T. was there, and I'm like, you were? I know. The show was on that long.
Did you ever see the footage of Jeffrey Epstein at Trump at Mar-a-Lago in the early 90s?
I maybe saw it. I don't really remember it, but
so all that Epstein stuff was coming out. You can't find, and this guy is like a supervillain. He has any mention of him burned, and there's no speaking footage of him. There's like a little bit, and there's the only video footage. MSNBC, when it first got started on basic cable, has footage of Mar-a-Lago, and Jeffrey Epstein is there with Trump at Mar-a-Lago with a guy named Tom McMillan, who's a backup center for the Bullets. And why I say that is these news things like E.T. and Access Hollywood, they have all this crazy footage sitting somewhere of God knows what. It's always back to Trump too, and the whole grab him by the pussy thing, right?
Right, yeah.
Yeah, so that is hanging around. Not just that, but like who knows what they have that they haven't tapped into, of just cameras rolling, and you know what I mean? Like, and so this somehow surfaced.
John Tesh and Mary Hart are kingmakers or breakers.
But you could have some like intern going through like old archives from the 80s and just like they could have like footage of like the set of 21 Jump Street, and they don't know what they have. So this shit, comes out, and this is Depp on the set of Nightmare on Elm Street. It's very quick, and I'm sure there's more of it.
Yeah.
This is all that's kind of going around right now, and I'm sure there's more of this, but I just don't know where to find it right now.
Yeah.
So they do like a thing, and it's Entertainment Tonight, and Robert Englund talks about Depp.
Give me your full name and correct spelling first.
My name is Johnny Depp, D-E-P-P.
Oh, look at him. He's such a baby face. Yeah, he was the most...
You were there, David, right? Yeah,
on my tour.
In the walkway.
One young actor I'd ever worked with.
Would you say that his death scene was the most violent?
It's certainly one of the classic kills in the nightmare vernacular.
It's perfect for Halloween. Let's one more time.
Give me your full name and correct spelling first.
My name is Johnny Depp, D-E-P-P.
Oh, look at him. He's such a baby face.
Now look at that set behind. Entertainment Tonight is there.
Yeah.
And it's not a big movie. It wasn't really supposed to be. You'd think, like, how would they know? And they're covering it. And this is 83, 84.
They're probably the only people in film history who've gotten like close-up footage of his eye boogers, that close-up.
And so what street is this on, Debbie? The Elm Street house?
Oh God.
Elm Street.
Yeah. I know. I'm forgetting the real name of the street. I could look it up.
That's okay.
Yeah.
But you said it's close to his house in Sweetser, right?
It is. Yeah. It's probably
his real house.
I'm gonna say it's like with no traffic, like a 7-minute drive. Like he could walk there. You could walk from Sweetser to the Elm Street house. Yeah.
Hey, yeah, that's crazy.
That's kind of poetic that he lives near where his career began.
That is good. You're right. This is this, you guys want to see here? Next we'll do. This is Depp being heckled. So you know who what's his name? The Leonard Maltin is.
Yeah, film critic.
Okay, right. So he has. I guess he had a show at UCLA where he would do like an hour interview, and so Depp, kind of like an inside the actor studio knockoff show, I think.
Right.
And I think it was just strictly online. So Depp's doing it, and I didn't see this until recently. He gets heckled by someone, and I looked at the year of this, and I kind of knew it's right when the TMZ stuff hits, and like maybe public sentiment is not too good on him, and he's had a bunch of bombs in a row, and he does this, and I think the Amber Heard stuff is starting to rear its. It definitely was just hit, and he gets heckled in the crowd, and this is how he handles it.
That was supposed to come later. What did that mean?
Grow some things, my brother.
Grow some things?
Yes.
He's like grow some balls. So I guess he said it's supposed to sound like grow some balls. He screams at him.
I thought he said you're gross and things.
Now let's see what he. Let's see if you can make out the original scream at him. You get anything out of that?
Do you say
one more time?
Depp? I can't make that.
When he explains it to Depp, he says, "Grow some balls."
Okay.
Or grow some, and then they're trying to like disguise whatever the punch.
That was supposed to come later. What did that mean?
Grow some things, my brother.
Grow some things?
Oh, grow some things. Got it.
Oh, I grow shit now. Oh, I grow shit. I might not be growing the same thing that you're growing, but I grow shit. Chia pets. It's a big world, a lot of choices.
Pello thinks it's turned it off.
I
don't know.
Yeah, I can't hear. Or is it hurry up or something?
Could be. That could be.
That was supposed to come later. What did that mean?
Grow some things, my brother.
Grow some things?
Yes, anything.
Oh, I grow shit now. Oh, I grow shit. I might not be growing the same thing that you're growing, but I grow shit. Chia pets. It's a big world, a lot of choices. And
boy, he handled that well. Like you don't know
Yeah.
what you're walking into. You got Depp's charisma with a microphone, and you're in that crowd. You don't stand a chance. And if he just kind of aw shucks rolls with like Sarah, do you remember when Thompson got heckled at the Viper Room?
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't it remind you of that a little bit?
No, the other guy was more intelligible, but I
true.
always thought that one was a plant. Nobody believed me. Nobody agreed with me.
I don't disbelieve you.
Yes,
What do you think?
do.
What do you
You
think?
said
the
you
plant,
disbelieved me last time.
What do you think the plant? What do you think the purpose?
I
of
think
it
it was a Thompson's view of what putting on a show was having a heckler.
Could be.
You need to interrupt this show for Philly 29.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, Philly 29.
Philly 29 is one of our great silent assassin supporters. He just comes. You never know when. Let's go Phillies. Let's go Eagles. Let's have the whole city of Philadelphia win everything. How about an Eagles-Browns Super Bowl? How about that?
No, because we'd lose.
Yeah, Philly was asking, we have the Radio Gunk Monday. We got dinged again. So
Yeah,
we're doing our job if we get dinged.
Yeah.
He was.
Do you think it was for the wedding, the Ronnie wedding pictures?
Probably something with Beth. It's always Beth.
Oh, it's right. True.
Always something with Beth Strionics. Next show I'll play you when Shannon Curry describes Amber, and she might as well be talking about Beth. She describes the diagnosis for histrionic personality disorder, and it is insane how much it mirrors Beth. It's crazy. Not from 90210 had Tiger Beat, but all the pages are stuck together back then. Josh Foster. John Tesh did, in fact, write the NBA theme song on NBC. Tone Cott. Did you know that, David?
Oh yeah, and I know he wrote
NBC
Conchetta for who was he? He was married to
Connie Selica.
Connie Selica, right?
Conchetta, I'll make your panties wetter.
That was one of my favorite things.
Jackie Martling.
Yeah.
Frequent contributor to Fangoria magazine, John Tesh. Yes. Yeah, so John Tesh got known to doing the NBA on NBC theme song. They lost the license. I'm trying to remember what year. Early to mid 2000s, then it went to ABC and ESPN, and I could stand to have them lose it again. They need to share the NBA needs to get reissued to another network. I'm getting tired of this. I'm getting tired of who they have now. Grow some things is such a catchphrase, pure gold. It truly is, Brendan. Depp you can't beat him with that charisma and a microphone and then the whole crowd against you. There's no way you're going to come out of there looking good. He couldn't have handled that any better. He really couldn't have. And I don't think he's feeling too good about himself. He's got staring down at the ground. That's like right when, the TMZ stuff hit and he doesn't know where it's going.
I thought he was going to be heckled for being an abuser or something. It's just some dope in the audience trying to.
It might have been what he was implying. Grow a pair.
Meaning, like you're not a real man if you're an abuser.
You're not right.
Yeah.
It could be what he's implying.
That's a weird way to convey that message.
It's very vague. And
if he's saying that in terms of the abuse, it's like grow a pair, hit harder next time.
Yeah, right. Maybe it was a well wisher. Oh, Jesus.
And speaking of weird, Sarah's asking me. I found this just popped up on my YouTube feed. Mickey Rourke is one of the biggest what would you say anomalies or
novelties.
How would you novelty is a word. There's a word I blame the effexor right now. My brain is popping in strange directions. The word will hit me probably as we're doing
Anomaly.
it. So anomaly is a word. It's not exactly what I'm. Don't worry about it.
It doesn't matter. Let's go.
They ask. So Mickey Rourke pops on my YouTube feed the other day, and I decided to do he's asked by Piers Morgan what his opinion on Depp is, and this is what he says. Now, you remember we talked about Mickey Rourke and Elon Musk is when he first came in. And so Elon Musk did this thing where he did this thing. I threaten you to a cage fight
Right.
So Elon Musk says Depp is 120 pounds soaking wet. How about you cage fight me? And then Mickey Rourke took the fight up. A lot of people don't realize they are fat. They have been longtime friends. And this is when they first met at Mickey Rourke's birthday party. And David, could you do me a favor? Could you look up Mickey Rourke's age? Because I think he's pushing 70 now.
Yeah.
If I had to ballpark his age, I'm going to say he was born in 1955 or 1953.
He was born in 52. He is 71 years old.
My God.
September 16th, 1952. He was born in Schenectady, New York.
Wow. Schenectady, New York is like upstate, kind of lower upstate. And he thinks he's from New York City, but he's from Schenectady, New York.
Yeah.
Which I think Pat Riley is from.
God, he looks, his plastic surgery is
you'll see it here. And
scary.
This is them this is Depp in New York City. This is when he got arrested for the Mark Hotel thing, trashing it. And the very next night, he goes to Mickey Rourke's birthday in Manhattan.
Us inside his 42nd birthday bash to grab this raw video of Mickey hanging with Johnny.
I'm getting acting tips from Johnny now, so, because I forgot all my technique, I'm getting some boxing tips here.
But while Johnny's career took off, Mickey's crashed and burned.
I should have did with.
Okay, that's him there. I wonder how they invited Inside Edition to Mickey Rourke's birthday. And again,
they're trying anything.
The footage they must have of that sitting in this Inside Edition archives. Yeah. They must have like 2 hours of footage from that birthday party. And what do they do with it all?
If every entertainment news outlet was smart, they'd realize just post all of your footage unedited, and the scary people of the internet will go through all of it. And if they want to use it, you can charge them for it. You're making determinations about what you think is interesting. To broadcast on a retrospective, but it's what if there's footage of Claire Danes picking her nose at an event,
Why'd you choose Claire Danes right there?
I don't know. I just think of a random celebrity.
Yeah. I love that you just poor Claire Danes gets.
I know. What if Nev Campbell's picking her ass at a thing?
Yeah. Speaking of Nev Campbell, someone up there was so they went to Skeet Ulrich in Scream to try to do another Johnny Depp in horror movies. I think it might have been Pell-El. I'm sorry, Babe Lewis. Welcome, sir. I apologize if I got her. I thought it was Pell-El that said it. Could have been. It doesn't matter. They'll identify themselves. Bullet. He brings up Tupac coming up, Josh. I'm going to show you something soon. So this is Piers Morgan asking Mickey Rourke about Depp v. Heard. Where is it?
Happened to your friend Johnny Depp. What did you think of that case?
There he is. Sorry, ladies. Taken.
He's Val Kilmer.
This is about a year ago, I think.
And the fact that in the end he won it.
Well, I know Johnny for many years, but I don't really know him intimately. All I could say is I was in a situation one time where I got blamed for something that I didn't do. It cost me movie jobs for several years, and it caused me a bad reputation. And finally, the truth came out. But the truth came out after.
Was that Cariotis?
Yes.
Sarah? You love gossip. You know everything about 90s gossip. You really do. I know you literally know everything about all things gossip.
She basically, it was the same type of thing.
Okay. Is it identical to it, or what was the stipulations?
Well, Amber Heard's way more embellished, but I think the Carrie Otis thing was maybe one or two instances.
It was Tonecott that said Skeet Ulrich. You all say brilliant stuff, and sometimes I confuse. I didn't realize. The Trump stuff with that's the thing. If there's got to be way more than just that one Epstein clip that they have. Right. There's no way there's only 30 seconds of it. They must have 3 hours of Epstein at Mar-a-Lago, and they only show you that one thing over and over. Trump says something to him, like he says some sexist remark, and then Epstein leans over laughing
Right.
And that's what they show over and over again. It's a weird clip. He walks in there with that ex-Bullets backup singer, who's also a congressman, Tom McMillan. And he walks in, he's 6'10" and a half or 6'11", and that's just such a bizarre scene.
You know, I wonder if Entertainment Tonight has its complete archives, like the original, you know, video cassettes that they recorded just the raw footage on, or if they've only kept the stuff that they broadcast. That's the other
That's a
thing
great
I think
question.
about.
That's a great question. You're hoping they would keep all of it to have their
For
receipts.
posterity. Yeah. Right.
Yeah, Kato
By the
Kaelin.
way, he accidentally shot Carrie Otis.
Did he
I
really?
forgot about that. Yeah.
What year is this?
No, I don't know. I don't see a year.
There's a
Early
lot of
90s.
crazy shit.
I lost movies and I lost jobs, and so I felt bad for somebody that is trying to get chopped down by some gold digger, you know?
You think that's what she was?
Absolutely.
He's not afraid. He doesn't give a shit. This just keeping on Piers just so I can get this out of the way. This is what he says about Tom Cruise. And I don't know how it came up, and I don't know. I think Piers just leading him in this direction.
When you see, Mickey, when you see someone like Tom Cruise producing $1 billion with Top Gun Maverick,
that doesn't mean shit to me. The guy's been doing the same effing part for 35 years. You know, I mean, I got no respect for that. Really? I don't give it. Nah, it's really, brother. I don't care about money and power. I care about when I watch Al Pacino work and Chris Walken and De Niro.
Christopher Walken doesn't do the same thing every time a Cruise does. Come on.
I mean, you could make kind of that argument about Pacino too.
Oh, know? I know. You can totally do that. Walken makes Cruise look like Daniel Day-Lewis.
Yep.
His early work and Richard Harris's work and Ray Winstone's work. That's the kind of actor I want to be, like Monty Cliff and, you know, Brando back in the day, and a lot of guys that just tried to stretch as actors and be the.
You don't think Tom Cruise is a good actor?
No.
I think he's irrelevant in my world.
Mm-hmm. Fascinating, Mickey. Hold it.
It's really, his comeback was amazing. Like obviously Jon Favreau put him in Iron Man 2, but it was the wrestler, David, right? That did, and that's a phenomenal movie. And we're thinking we're going to get one with that. What's called Iron Claw, again with Zac Efron, because it's just not enough wrestling movies. And he was in Sin City, which Depp turned down, which is a very good movie.
What is he referring to? Like, I got accused of some stuff that I didn't do.
What Sarah's saying.
Oh, he was married to Carrie Otis.
Okay.
After they did a Wild Orchid together.
Okay.
He was arrested for domestic violence, and the charges were later dropped.
Got it. Okay.
Did she drop? Oh, she's just lying.
I don't remember.
Because he's this hellion and he's a boxer, and of course he got physical with me.
It sounded like it was just a toxic all the way around
just
relationship.
Like theirs. Yep.
Now, you want to know the age difference when they met, and I think, when they became involved, he was 35. Guess how old she was?
17.
18.
19.
Okay.
Oh, Lord.
What else has Carrie Otis done besides that?
I don't know.
She's
also bringing charges against some producer, I think, in L Model Management for subjecting her to sexual abuse.
Did she clean him out?
I don't know. I think he cleaned himself out.
So this is Mickey Rourke. Debbie, tell me if you know where this is. I think this is your haunt, neck of the woods.
Okay. I better see gay pride flags all over the place.
Domestic violence that Amber Heard is alleging. You know the guy.
He doesn't seem like a very violent man to me.
Yeah. And she claims.
Did he and Eric Roberts share hair? You think he just gives that toupee to Eric Roberts and they just go back and forth?
It was triggered by drugs and alcohol. I'm sure you guys have partied together. I'm not accusing you of anything, but what's his temperament like in those states?
Very low-key guy, very, I've always $5. He's always been like really low-key a gentleman, not a violent guy.
Did you spend any time with the two of them?
Yeah. Thanks, Mickey.
Do you think, based on what you know about them, do you think that they were a good match at all?
I have no idea. I don't know anything about her.
Do you find it suspicious that like this romance kind of came out of nowhere? They're getting divorced after just over a year, and
anything, David? This area, this is the main.
Yeah,
strip?
I mean, this is like mid. It's probably right by Lisa Vanderpump restaurant. It's either on like Beverly Boulevard or by the Grove. It looks like like mid Wilshire area.
I know nothing about her at all, really.
But you give him your back, and you don't think that he's this kind of guy.
I think he's a really good guy. Always been a low-key gentleman.
Yeah. Awesome.
Is Mickey running around just trying to get recognized, almost like he knows?
That was like his wet dream moment. It's like he's doing a TMZ testimonial while taking a photo with a fan, unrelated.
Yes. For the record, he didn't charge a guy. I thought he was just kidding her. That's
no, I know.
Yeah, little Mickey Rourke humor. And he just kind of, I think he loves being recognized. So this is again TMZ's all. He's like he's having a baseball catch. Speaking of catcher's mitts, on the Sunset Strip, I guess is this where it is, with some dude, and he asked him about Trump, and this is what he says.
Okay.
First pitch out, I just want to say, the biggest scumbag on the planet is that maggot with an F in front of it, Donald Trump. Him, horse he rode around.
What do you think about his scar getting vandalized?
I think that his wife is one of the biggest gold diggers around. I know. I used to go out with a gold digger. And I mean, how can you sleep next to...
There you go, Sara. Cariotis, gold digger.
Well, he's dated a few women.
That flabby, fat piece of get your rocks off. I mean, the mother gotta have like millions sticking out of his ass. I mean, you gotta go to bed with that every night? You gotta be a gold digger.
That's amazing.
I think I would call it, instead of gold digger, I'd call it something else, but it's okay.
What do you mean by that?
I'm looking up the angle in Volker's place to see where it is.
He's just playing catch, like on the Sunset Strip.
I don't know what.
Here we go, baby.
Is it possible it's a film set and he's in between takes?
Here we go, baby. Maury Wills.
Is it true
Maury
you
Wills
almost became a major league pitcher?
Well, if I would have had my dream.
His next movie is The Pitcher. He's
What's
practicing.
that,
He's practicing for his next movie, The Pitcher.
W go, well, I'm kind of a catcher myself.
Exactly.
Oh, God.
Man, you were great. What are you talking about? You were great when you did.
All right, that's it, baby.
Oh, you're the man.
That's all she wrote. Okay.
You're the man. Thank you so much, Mr. Rourke. Donald Trump started.
So he
How
expands
cringe is that compliment? You the man.
Yeah, no, I love that's the
2001.
TMZ does not know how to end those. They give him what he wanted. Okay, you're the best, Mickey.
And they're the worst when they catch celebrities out. They're people that they hire to question these celebrities. I don't even think they made it past junior high.
That's so true.
Bump Wills, remember him, Sara? Bump Wills, Maury Wills' son on the Texas Rangers. Bump, oh God, oh my Bump Wills. It was almost like a Russ.
Car was vandalized last night.
So he gets apparently Tupac and Mickey Rourke did this insane damage to one of, I don't know if it's the Plaza or one of Trump's hotels.
Yeah, they were friends.
Yeah, they did that movie together. Bullet, I guess.
Me and Tupac years ago, and it goes that far back. If you're going to sue somebody, sue them for the amount of damage they did, not 5 times the amount of damage. So Donald Trump go so he talks like he goes. His wife said, "Well, he's a tough guy. He's not a tough guy. He's a bully and he's a bitch, and he can suck my." And I'll meet him in a hotel room any other day of the week and give him a Louisville Slugger. Kiss my mother ass, you bitch, punk sucker.
No close-ups, please.
You know what he did, Mike? Tupac and I were staying at the Plaza Hotel when we were shooting Bullet together. The room was registered under my name.
Can you pause it for a second?
I was.
Sorry, Sarah, you know who he looks like? The guy who interviewed Mark Harris that like you think he's a woman and you think that he has like do you know who I'm talking about?
Oh yes, that really scary queen.
Yes, exactly. Right. That's who he
okay.
looks like in this with that hairstyle right now.
I think all you got to do is go to YouTube and type in Mark Harris interview.
Yeah.
And it comes up. It is
It's like
so
the only one he
frightening.
ever did. Yeah.
Yeah.
Throw mama from the train.
Yeah.
Sleeping on the couch. Tupac was sleeping in the bedroom. I caused maybe $6,000-7,000 worth of damage. Okay, I admit it. This scumbag Trump sued me for $28,000. Plus, he put in about 6 paragraphs of the worst negative, demeaning, disrespectful shit you could write about 2 people. So it's personal with me.
Right. So it started way before the election.
Okay. Way before. He sued me for $28,000. I admit I caused $6,000-7,000 worth of damage. It's not like the bitch needed the money, but what he likes more than money is he likes ink.
Yeah.
So he got him to write a very negative story on me and Tupac, which I take very personal, and I'm sure our paths will cross one day.
I wonder if we can get a hand on that article. I wonder if it's floating around. I don't know. I'm sure it was at a time when the internet wasn't developed, and you're lucky if you find it, kind of thing. Mickey was closer to Tupac than Jada Pinkett Smith was. Doesn't AJ Benza have a lot of Tupac and Mickey Rourke stories? I think we could get him on, and he has a lot. He's so tapped into that 90s New York gossip. That was in his.
No, I'm all right.
Come on, Sarah.
You have
AJ.
fun. Have fun. I'll take the day off
AJ,
again.
come on. It's AJ.
Have fun.
It's not associated with Stuttering John anymore. Yeah.
Demeaning? What kind of human filth tears up a hotel room? What kind of scumbag?
I kind of
It's so
agree.
funny because Depp's hotel thing is so. It's almost like he's emulating Mickey Rourke. It's almost like it's so. You can always tie everything. Fame ain't it a bitch?
He's emulating Mickey Rourke by getting into a disastrous marriage.
But he does do that. His idolatry, as you call it, David, is so strong. I think he channels these people. I remember the earliest days of reading Depp interviews, and he listed Mickey Rourke as a hero of his. I'm talking Jump Street days.
Right.
So that does go. That's a real thing.
Do you think Johnny Depp, and maybe if he already has, I can't tell. Do you think he would get major plastic surgery at some point in his life? Like Mickey Rourke?
If he's had it. It's done really well. It's subtle and you don't know, but I've heard people accuse him of having it. I don't think he's had, because he does look like he's aged.
Yeah, he does.
So I don't.
He also has that scar on his forehead. I think he would have smoothed that out before the trial.
Fair.
Yeah. Let me see here. Okay, here we go. You guys see this?
Yes. Oh yeah.
Are you ready?
I am ready.
Yes, because I got to go to bed soon, so I'm very.
Okay, I'll try to make this quick. We'll just do, because I can't. I'm losing my voice too when I do this, so I can't do it the whole show. When we did this originally, we would cut it up. We would pre-tape it, right? When we did the original UK trial. So this is
take the chat
Johnny
down. Sorry.
Depp's older sister, 2 years older, Christie Depp Dembrowski, who he lived with in Miramar, Florida. She was his manager and gatekeeper, and she did a testimony which was in the unsealed transcripts. And it's got a lot of stuff in here. It was not shown during Fairfax. Sara is going to, who sounds like her anyway, is going to play Christie Dembrowski. I saw a Pat Benatar thing on VH1 on YouTube last week, and it is amazing how much his sister resembles Pat Benatar. I can't stop thinking about it. And I had the thing, and the more I see it, the more I can't stop. I think David is going to play Camille Vasquez, the role you were born to play. There's a lot of just objections and stuff. I hope you don't get bored with it, because she kind of does. No. Okay. It's a lot of just, trying to derail the testimony.
I can't sustain that high voice for that long either. So it's good that she has short things that little bit at a time, so that works out.
Tell me if you see me scrolling it.
Yep.
Okay. I am gonna line 13. That's gonna be me.
Okay.
So it's cute, and it's gonna go to you, and then Sarah's the witness.
Okay.
Hickok will just ignore. Maybe I'll do him in like some restrained Baldwin voice. So Johnny was aware that Amber referred to the part of him that was drawn to drugs and alcohol, and the behavior that ensued is the demon, correct?
Objection, assumes facts, lack of foundation, calls for hearsay, calls for speculation.
Join.
I don't know what all he was aware of.
Well, she sent him this text, and he sent this text to you, correct?
Yes.
Assumes facts, calls for hearsay, calls for speculation.
Join. And he was told in this text by Amber, and you were told in this text by Amber because he forwarded it to you, did he not? That the demon is killing us, and that's what she's afraid of, correct?
Objection, asked and answered, calls for hearsay, assumes facts, lack of foundation, calls for speculation.
It's her descriptive word.
And then she says that demon because despite how much I've tried to fight him off, he's been winning you. I'm scared, Johnny.
Johnny.
Scared. Do you see that?
Yes.
And do you recall telling Miss Heard in the text we looked at earlier, May 25th, that she needed to tell Johnny she was scared?
Objection, misstates the document, misstates prior testimony, calls for hearsay.
Join.
I remember that.
And then here she's doing what you advised, which is telling Johnny that she's scared, so scared, she's scared of the demon, correct?
Objection, calls for speculation, calls for hearsay, double hearsay, assumes facts.
I think she's scared of losing the relationship.
And then she goes on to say, he steals the man from me and replaces him with something terrifying and unrecognizable. Do you see that?
Yes.
And that was conveyed to you through this text, was it not?
Objection, asked and answered, assumes facts, calls for hearsay, calls for speculation, vague.
They were the words she used.
Did you call Johnny and say, what's going on? Why is she saying she's terrified of you? She's scared of you, calling you a demon. Did you have any conversation with her along those lines? Excuse me, any conversation with him along those lines?
Objection, vague, assumes facts.
I'll give you a running on all of them so you don't have to struggle, Ms. Vasquez. We've got it. You're objecting to everything. Go ahead, Mr. Dembrowski.
Unintelligible if you understand that question.
I think the question is confusing, but I don't recall calling my brother on it.
Well, do you recall seeing this text or any other text where you thought, well, those are alarming statements about what's going on. I need to call Johnny and find out what's going on.
Objection, assumes facts, vague and ambiguous.
No.
Why not?
Objection, harassing.
Join, also vague.
From my dealings with it and understanding of it, Amber was very dramatic all of the time, so...
And so that's the reason you didn't reach out to Johnny to find out what's going on?
Objection, badgering.
I'll withdraw that, Ms. Vasquez. I'm going to direct you to page 43.
Okay.
Do you see the text identified 70413 from Johnny to you?
Yes.
And he says, I will fucking savage some motherfucker. 9/21/2014.
Objection, misread that.
Yes.
Yes. That's
I'm sorry,
me.
Sarah.
Yes.
Do you know why he sent you this?
Objection, calls for speculation.
Join.
No.
What that unusual text to get from your brother, was it not?
Objection, vague.
I don't know what the context is. Sorry.
I'm going to now direct you to page 59.
Okay.
And if you look in the middle of the page 59, which is Bates number 11298, the number is of the chat. Well, I guess this is the specific message, 52720, chat 562. Do you see that?
Yes.
And that's a text message from Stephen Deuters to you, correct?
Objection, assumes facts.
Yes.
Oh, and he says, "Hi, C. I'm not sure how much you're aware of right now, but I'm at the house with Kippa and Debbie, who are speaking with JD and Amber, respectively, separately. Obviously, things have not calmed down over the last day or so. Do you see that?"
Yes.
And this is March 7th, 2015. Isn't that right? It's a text message?
Yes.
And that's when Johnny and Amber went to, what, in Australia? Isn't that right?
Objection.
Objection.
Calls for speculation.
Join.
Yeah, I believe that was Australia days.
And do you recall Johnny cut his finger off in Australia and there was a big to-do about that?
Objection, vague and ambiguous, assumes facts, calls for speculation.
Join.
Lack of foundation.
Can you answer?
You can answer. Johnny's finger was cut off, yes.
All right, and if you'll turn to page 60, and that's Bates number 11299, are you with me there?
Yes.
And then do you see there's a text chain 426 and there's the text chain 1646. Those are texts that you're on, correct? So that would start at the record second line from the top and third and the end with the third line from the bottom. Do you see that?
Yes.
And so all the texts are in there March 2015, correct?
Assumes facts.
Yes.
And you send a text with the line number 29376 to Stephen Deuters on March 8th, 2015 at 12:41 p.m. Do you see that? That's the third line from the top.
Yep.
Okay. And you say, "Oh, wow, poor thing. Much more bandaged than I thought. He makes me so sad." And then you go on to say, "If he feels okay, then Captain Jack may need an injury." Do you see that?
Yes.
And that's referring to Johnny's finger injury. Isn't that right?
Objection, calls for speculation, vague, ambiguous.
Yes.
Oh, wow. You can move this. All right. And are you aware that Amber wanted Johnny to enter into a prenuptial agreement, but he wouldn't agree to do so?
Objection, calls for speculation, calls for hearsay, assumes facts.
No.
All right. And if you look at the bottom, fourth line from the bottom, this is the one with number 7428.
Uh-huh.
And are you aware that Amber was willing to agree to a post-nuptial, but Johnny didn't want to agree to that either?
Objection, calls for speculation, hearsay, and assumes facts.
Join.
No.
And then Johnny texts you on March 8th, 2015, telling you to cancel the post-nuptial, correct?
Objection, assumes facts.
Yes, he used those words.
And then you, in fact, call the lawyers for Amber and Johnny and discharge them, right? You terminated their relationship with respect to the post-nuptial agreement. Isn't that right?
Objection, vague and ambiguous, calls for assumes facts, lack of foundation, calls for hearsay.
I don't recall that.
All right, I'm going to direct you to page 61, and you do the same. Page 61, which is Bates number 11300, line 29380.
Yes.
And that's a text from you to Stephen Deuters on March 9th, 2015, correct?
Yes.
And you say, just make sure you say, aren't sure how he hurt his hand. Do you see that?
Yes.
Why do you say that?
I don't recall. I would have to know the context.
Okay. Do you know any reason why would Johnny have to conceal how he hurt his hand?
Objection, misstates the document, misstates prior testimony, assumes facts.
Join.
Argumentative.
I don't know who Stephen would be talking to that I would suggest that, so I don't know.
But you did suggest that, didn't you?
Objection, argumentative, badgering, asked and answered, assumes facts, misstates the testimony and the document.
Join.
I did write that.
All right, I'm going to view what is marked as Exhibit 7, and I'll also pull that up on the share screen. Let me say for a minute here, as it turns out, his Depp's assertion is that he's trying to protect Amber by not saying what happened to the hand, that if it gets out.
I wish she would have.
Why doesn't Christie say that? Right.
And you know she remembers why she said
Of course
that.
she does.
Just do that. I mean, she's obviously, in my opinion, basically hinting that don't tell the studio what really happened.
Right. It makes him sound guilty in this, and it makes him sound like he's hiding it. If this is indeed what happened, he's protecting her by not leaking this gossip to the press. But why can't Christie say that to him? I have no idea. She's trying to be as vague as possible, but it doesn't come off well. And now you can see why they didn't want this in Fairfax.
Yeah.
Let me know when you're ready. I'm sorry. Get the. Okay, okay.
Okay.
If you don't, you got to see how small the arrow is to scroll down, and how bad my vision is. Mr. Dembrowski, this is an email you received from Dr. Kipper, aka Dr. Feelgood.
Dr. Black Negligee for your honeymoon.
Dr. Clipper watching Russell Westbrook inbound the ball to Kawhi Leonard and Paul George in the playoffs. August 18th, 2014, with the subject line update, is it not?
Yeah.
And the update there is with respect to Dr. Kipper's treatment of Johnny's drug and alcohol abuse. Isn't that right?
Objection, assumes facts, calls for hearsay, misstates the document, calls for speculation.
David, are you at a point now where you're just rooting her to say something besides this shit, this objection speak?
I'm sitting like she was in the trial with like her finger on the side of her face, just like, you know,
making faces,
making faces. Right. Yeah. Like looking
huffing. Like, she's such a master huffer too.
When Elaine got combative with her and her eyes got really big as she was looking to as karate. You know, like... My
favorite of that is Camille objects, of course. And Elaine cuts her off and goes, Your Honor said I could redirect.
Yes. When I first saw Ms. Vasquez, I immediately thought of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
Right.
She sounds exactly like her, same cadence. If you hear her in Congress, and she looks like Eva Longoria, so it's somewhere in the middle of that.
Yeah.
I felt like she was channeling. Okay, it's back to me. All right, I think we're going to flesh that out a bit. All right, do you recall that Dr. Kipper and his nurse went to the Bahamas with Amber and Johnny to try to curb his addictions to drug and alcohol?
Objection, assumes facts, calls for speculation, lack of foundation.
Yes, regarding the medication that I spoke of, yes.
All right, and you keep saying medication. I mean, you previously sent him those texts to say stop alcohol, stop coke, stop prescription. Was that next? I'll have you to look back at it. You previously sent him a text that said stop drinking, stop coke, stop pills, correct?
Objection, asked and answered, assumes facts.
Yes, but I would need more context to know why I sent those, so.
Right, but you knew he was using coke, correct?
Objection, calls for speculation, calls for hearsay, vague.
Go a little bit more. The concern was the prescription medication.
All right, so if we take a look there at this email from Dr. Kipper to you with the subject line update, he says, they evidently had a fight. She claims he pushed her, and she asked him to leave the house. Dr. Kipper informed you of that, correct?
Objection, form, calls for hearsay.
I want to listen to Kipper's testimony again. I wonder if the stuff in the unsealed that he's not he was a video witness, so those tend to be boring and you trail out. I so wish he was on the stand. It's his origins. He was Ozzy Osbourne's personal physician during the freaking when they got that sort of second phase back nine fame from the reality show.
Right.
And apparently he misdiagnosed Ozzy Osbourne, and that's one of the reasons Bruce Witkin fell out with Depp, is that he thought Dr. Kipper was a con man who's just like a ridiculous, Dr. Feelgood.
That was another part of Elaine's closing. She goes, and you remember Bruce Whitkins. I think he was amazing. He was the one to tell you about Dr. Kipper and about how that was a scam. I thought that was really important. It's like, oh, geez, you're so cringe.
And that didn't surprise you that they had a fight and there was allegations that Johnny had pushed her and asked her to leave the house. Is that fair?
Objection, calls for speculation, misstates prior testimony, assumes facts, calls for hearsay, argumentative.
Do you think that the judge, if you object so much like that it's so rote and so almost like an automaton, that it's not effective? If you object too much, you're just like, all right, this is just, I can't take this. It's almost like a cry wolf thing with objections where you can't take it seriously anymore.
Well, I wonder if it's like either the person doing the line of questioning is really bad, or the person who's objecting really has something to hide.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, that the judge starts to think, or jury, that the person's got something to hide, that these objections are, they know they've seen so much of this that they know objections tend to be someone's hiding something.
Right.
You're always going to reflexively object to everything before there's even a statement of note. He didn't even say anything. She was objecting to stuff before the sentence even got out. And I'm like,
but going back again to the Elaine annihilation in the redirect, there's a point Camille is like just objecting to everything, and they're valid objections because they're being sustained. Right. So I think the judge will look at it one by one. But again, when Elaine was starting to argue every objection in front of the jury, I think it was leading, of course. And Elaine goes, Your Honor, it's not leading. And as Karate cuts her off and says, it's leading. Next question.
Yeah.
I think it's one at a time.
As Karate's approach to that was really interesting. She really choosed her battles wisely with what she tended.
Did you really say choosed?
Did I say what I say?
She choosed her battles.
Yeah, that's how we speak in Long Island. Did I say it's the effects are talking?
Oh, yeah, sure. Okay.
List of objections.
It's not conjugating verbs properly.
We don't conjugate verbs in Suffolk County.
Yeah.
We
haven't gotten that technology
Pell says
yet.
if you object to either ruin your credibility of theirs. I agree. The list of objections, says Crazy Robin. Thank you, Crazy Robin. We love having you here, and we can't wait to hear you on that 90210. I really genuinely look forward to that.
Yeah,
to hear the debut of Crazy. You know it's going to be good. You just know it. She has called in on Gunk a few times with phenomenal, clever prank calls and impressions, and got a little taste of her. I think twice she did it. Her and G Canada, I think, follow each other during one of those.
Nice.
Yes, Flamer, thank you. This is the deposition of Depp's older sister, Christie Depp Dembrowski. It was not used in Fairfax, and it was blocked. Thank you, Joni. Thank you for all your comments. We hope to have you back soon, too. I think we're going to have her back on the Would You See It If Depp Wasn't In It next installment with Judy Tenuna, who has been fastidiously watching every Depp movie.
I got to go on that, too.
We are on... I'm next, right?
Yep.
All right. And then he goes on to say, we spent a long time with him discussing how he felt and what happened, his thoughts on what sobriety actually meant for him now. That's where BT Coldclea comes in, and how committed he truly was to the journey that we're on now. Do you see that?
Yes.
And so Dr. Kipper came into the picture to try to get Johnny sober. Isn't that right?
Objection, assumes facts, calls for hearsay, calls for a conclusion, medical opinion, and conclusion.
Join also calls for speculation.
Again, Dr. Kipper was for the medication that he was on.
All right. Well, Dr. Kipper tells you in the second paragraph he's uncomfortable, is pessimistic that he will ever be able to stop doing drugs, and actually romanticizes the entire drug culture. And there's no accountability for his behaviors. Dr. Kipper told you that, did he not?
Objection, assumes facts, calls for hearsay.
Kipper, I'm sorry, Sarah. Kipper does say that in his actual spoken testimony. And so this isn't just from this. I mean, she's saying, and he does. Is it any secret that he romanticizes the drug cult? Is anybody under any delusion that he does? Right. I mean, did he ever blatantly admit that? When your idols are Hunter S. Thompson, Keith Richards, on and on and on, that's the kind of the foundation of what these guys are synonymous. Of course you do. Of course, and he does, and it's
like being surprised that Cheech and Chong know Dr. Kipper. Yeah.
It is, though. It is. They're both. They're as synonymous with Cheech and Chong and marijuana, with drugs.
Right.
Totally. Go ahead, Sarah. I'm sorry.
That's what Dr. Kipper wrote. I'm a little bit unclear at the moment in his references, but.
All right. Then he goes on to say that the next page, this is 11488, he referring to Depp, is a fundamental issue with anger. Do you see that?
Yes.
And you understood that to be the case yourself because he's your brother, right?
Objection, misstates prior testimony, calls for speculation, assumes facts, lack of foundation, argumentative.
Join.
No, I don't understand that to be the case with my brother.
All right. Now you have a doctor telling you that Johnny has fundamental issues with anger, correct?
Objection, misstates the document, assumes facts, hearsay, it's vague and ambiguous.
He wrote those words, but...
And you hired him to help Johnny, did you not?
I did. Well, I helped with that.
See, this guy is doing a way... Why didn't they use this guy in Fairfax? Joshua Treece.
Because they probably quit on her, like all of her other attorneys before.
You're probably right. He probably did. It's weird. He just... I don't know if we see him... I looking at my... I'm not looking at our screen right now, but that's his face in my avatar, and I do not remember him at all in Fairfax through the rotations. You're probably right, Sarah. He probably get fired. She didn't. That's why fucking what's his name? Barisi turned on her.
Mm-hmm.
He did. The private investigator turned on her and started to become digging stuff for Depp. She stiffed the private investigator.
Johnny Depp's charisma can turn private investigators working against him.
It really is great. Right? That is a case. That is, he'd come back and go, everyone I talk to says he's the best guy they ever met. He's so generous. And so giving you an update that he's telling you now, look, he's got problems with drugs. He has no accountability. He romanticizes the entire drug culture. And he has fundamental issues with anger. Yet, he provides notice to you on the job you hired him to do of what his views of Johnny's issues are in this update. Isn't that right?
Objection, misstates the document. Compound, calls for hearsay, calls for a medical opinion, calls for speculation.
Join.
Excuse me, he does write those things, but it becomes more clear in conversation, better, more clear description on the issues.
So what conversation do you actually, even though you didn't recall any prior conversation, do you recall a specific conversation with Kipper?
Objection, argumentative, badgering, misstates her prior testimony.
Join.
I'm not saying I recall a specific conversation with Kipper.
All right, and then go to 1148. Dr. Kipper goes on to say there's also an issue of patience. He's driven almost reflectively by his id. Is quite childlike in his reactions when he does not get immediate satisfaction. Do you see that?
Yes.
Wow, that's an interesting id. You don't see id a lot.
Yeah.
I did not know what that word was until like 5 years ago when Howard was running around
with his
bragging about the horrible, ridiculous sham of a book with 16 new pages, calling himself Unleashed Id. And I'd never in all the hours I listened to him ever use that word. It was like Leslie Dart Woody Allen's publicist told him to use that on the tour. I
Right.
never once. There's no way that's in his lexicon.
I didn't know what it was until the Pearl Jam Neil Young album with the song "I Got Id."
Really?
That's funny.
Who wrote this song? Who was it?
Eddie Vedder and Neil Young, I think.
What year did it come out?
I don't remember. You'd have to look it up.
Wow, Id in a song title. What is this?
Probably
Look at this-
93, 94.
Look at this Costco ink blot. You got the ink, this refillable ink cartridge on her. I try to work through this. I'm sorry, guys. I didn't do this.
You're good.
And would you agree with the characterization that Johnny is driven by immediate satisfaction and instant he certainly is, an instant gratification?
Objection. Vague calls for a medical opinion, calls for speculation.
I wouldn't say that as an overall description of him myself, no.
Do you know the difference between id, ego, super ego, and I'm asking you because he communicated reflexively by his id to you in this. It's interesting to think that everybody knows what id means. Like you're kind of using it like it's an everyday word. It really is not. I'd not heard that until, and I think I read a lot. I think I listen a lot, and I had not heard id used. And he's acting like everyone should know in this email exchange.
Objection, vague, ambiguous.
I don't understand. I'm sorry.
She doesn't know what it is.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this then. Are you aware that id is Freudian in terms refers to, animalistic, hedonistic behaviors?
Objection, vague and ambiguous, assumes facts.
This is good stuff. It's a shame we didn't get to. We're hearing it now. You still need to answer that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
If you understand the question, Miss Dembrowski.
I don't really understand the question or the relevance of it. So,
you think Camille knows what it is? I've heard
Stupid.
Speaking of mispronunciations, Sarah, I heard Camille with a couple of mispronunciations during the
show.
What
was
it was a few. I can't remember what it was.
Yeah. She said she's reading the text messages back from Amber Heard to Johnny Depp, and she goes, "Come home, Baba," and it was baby. That's just
That's great.
Do you think that id refers to in the way Kipper used it in the email to you?
Objection, calls for speculation, unintelligible.
No, not really.
All right, I'm going to show you what is marked as Exhibit 8. Counsel, we've been going on for about an hour and 15 minutes. If you wouldn't mind taking another break.
Oh, thank God.
Sure. Sarah, I'll let you go. We'll stop it here.
Okay.
I'm actually having a lot of fun. I don't know about you guys. Are you having fun, David? I mean, I know.
Yeah, I love using words as if I know what they mean.
I think we learn a lot on this show. I don't want to, I mean, if you don't want to beat this, like my voice can only do this for so long,
right?
Because you kind of go, I'm really stretching it, but I didn't know. Sometimes they, the way they cut it off, they tell you when to end it, and you can only take so much of this. I like to interact with the chat more, so when I do this, I can't look at the chat because I'm scrolling the thing from another angle. I'll end with the chat here. I'm just going on. You guys might go back. I have fun with this. I really do. I really enjoy this.
No, I like it.
I don't think it's just we're not taking it too serious. I think, and there's so much endless because there's so many transcripts that were unreleased. I want to do the Bruce Witkin one. People will really enjoy that one. You heard him at Fairfax, but there's another one that goes far deeper into their childhood. It's really good. I'll play Bruce, and Sara can play. I'm trying to remember who does the interview with him. Might be Camille.
Okay.
I can't remember who does it. No, it's Chew. I think it's Chew. Chew's just very robotic sounding,
right?
Like automaton. Like you didn't see a ton of him because he wasn't. He did some things, but he was running. He was almost like the player manager in a way. Like
right.
Mm-hmm. He's the clock manager, yeah.
But he did some things, and he really was impressive when he went.
He annihilated the ACLU attorney.
He's very likable. He's very trustworthy. He's a rare look at a lawyer. When you look at him, you trust how he sounds and you trust how he looks. And that's not easy to do. I just wish we got to see more of him.
His victorious like turnaround when they mention Kate Moss, or Kate Moss says,
"Yeah, the fist pump."
Yeah.
Yes.
His greatest American hero, fist pump.
I thought of Kate Moss.
You know who one of the big writers, producers were on that show?
That was Stephen Cannell
and Patrick Hasbro.
And
We're going to speak to soon, hopefully. I got a lot of questions about great. You could actually do Greatest American Hero 21 Jump Street crossover.
Yeah, silk stockings.
Well, they go undercover into William Katz's. He was a high school teacher.
Oh, that's right.
The undercover, God, what was his name? Hinckley.
Yeah.
Bill. Oh God, what was William Katz's name? Hinckley, but I forget the first name.
John Hinckley. I don't know.
Robert Cole played Bill Maxwell, and he called him Kid the whole time. So I can't remember. Ralph. Did they say it in the chat?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't look. I knew it came to my head.
Oh, with Connie Selica, that's right.
Connie Selica is the female lead in that. Yes, I think she plays
Pam
a
Davidson.
fellow teacher or in the high school. He's his girl. She's his girlfriend, but I can't remember if she plays a teacher or Bill Maxwell is the FBI connection. I love that show.
Yeah.
Like they said on that I love the 80s or whatever, that
right.
The song actually outlived the show.
Right.
Believe it or not, that's in a Seinfeld episode, right?
Yeah.
George isn't home.
George isn't at home.
What's our next episode for Seinfeld? Armfeld.
I think it's the pony remark.
Yes.
Yeah.
And what's the plot of that?
Jerry and Elaine go to a family function, and Jerry insults kids who had ponies growing up, and his older aunt or cousin is like, I had a pony growing up in Poland, and then she dies, and he never apologized.
I barely remember that.
Sorry, I can't be a part of that.
I barely remember that.
That plot didn't grab you, Sarah?
That is amazing, though. I gotta give you a shout out on your Armfeld episodes. You have a 23-minute episode, and those Patreon episodes are 4 hours long.
Well, 320, 350.
God.
Because our Penske Files segment is really, I mean, this.
Oh, I know. I got to live through Weintraub's. I know.
I wish Jump Street had 1/10 the stuff that's out there for Seinfeld.
Oh.
You know how hard it is for me to find Jump Street dirt?
Yeah, that's a good point. I'm sure all the other shows we cover have much more sort of behind the scenes talk about them than Jump Street does, which is interesting.
By the way, patreon.com/WinoForever, $2.
Yes.
And if it were up to me, that's the only place we'd be.
You get 6 hours of 21. And again, I think there's something there for everybody. No matter what I can think, I'll post. I have to repost some old Stern stuff that got. Sarah, we killed the Vimeo.
What?
Oh, Vimeo.
Remember Vimeo was linked.
Oh yeah. Because people
I gotta
were
repost
getting
that
the stuff for free, so you need to not post things.
Right.
There anymore.
That was your idea. It's
no,
beautiful.
Well. By the way, I want to apologize. The Patreon, where I'm doing the best I can with some of my episodes. I know your episodes are the more popular ones. I don't care, but it's almost impossible for me to do like a 2-hour Golden Girls this week or next week.
Yeah.
So I will get to them as soon as I can. Crazy Robin, I owe you a 90210, so I'm going to squeeze that in.
Can I be in on that one or no?
Yes, you can, of course.
Yeah, and Sarah, no rush. I don't care. Like whenever you guys want to do stuff, I'm just happy to be aboard. So whatever, you know.
When's the next Seinfeld you want to do, David?
I'll text you sometimes. I have some pretty free times next week. Is there Gunk next week?
I think so, but we could do it any whatever Thursday or beforehand or something. It's
sure.
We could also do it too if you wanted to break it up, and then I don't know. I like doing it all at once, but
I do too. Yeah. So I think maybe next Thursday would work. So I'll text you about it.
Yeah, G Canada wanted to sit in, and he doesn't really know the show that well.
That'd be fun.
I don't. You know, I as long as he doesn't go into 45 minutes on the Canadian economy in the middle of a.
As long as we don't have a discussion group about Lake Erie. Yeah.
which I don't mind. Which I don't mind at all.
Talking about the mercury levels in Lake Erie. All right.
Well,
Crazy Robin says, before I go, Crazy Robin, send me an email, thedeppening@gmail.com, and then I will let you know.
Flamered is Ben Chu was Adam Waldman's best man. Yeah, we got cheated out of. We never, as much as Adam Waldman's name comes up, we never get to see him in any court setting at all. It's really bizarre, right? All that brouhaha with that name. He's got a very shady Russian background, which I'm not particularly pleased with. He's a weird cat, Adam Waldman. But I feel cheated. We never got to see him in a court setting at all. I wonder how that goes. He bored the shit out of me in his testimony. He was weird, kind of. The video testimony. No. Yes. No. I don't know. Yeah, maybe he looks like where's Waldman?
It's all right.
I spent most of the year looking for Waldo, and the rest of the year looking for sex.
He got it in that she was being investigated for perjury. That's all he needed to do.
No. Yes.
All right. I gotta go, guys.
All right. Bye, Sarah.
All right. Bye. Thank you.
All right. With that, everyone, I want to thank everyone in the chat. I love you all. Jesus. Again, we're going to come up with 21 Jump Street. 6 hours was the 158. I recommend everybody, please listen to that. A lot of work. Was a lot of fun with Judy Tenunu. This is Arm for David and Sarah saying cut.
Moo! 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 I'm a loser! Eh?
Sit down. Stay where you are. For the first time, I choose to walk out on you.
Jump.